Yes. Greg Filak. Jack. And Dave Hume.
Here.
Sorry.
All right, if we could all rise and pledge allegiance.
Oh my God.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
You got a motion on the agenda? Move to adopt the agenda. Second. All those opposed? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. We'll go with that. Public comment period. For anybody in the room, like public comments, if you could just come up to the microphone, please, and just state your name and keep comments to 3
Oh
minutes.
my goodness.
Jim Canal, 2293 Celebration.
Is that just, Brenda, is that microphone on? Just want to make sure you can hear it.
Yeah, it is. If you could say your name and address one more.
Sure, Jim Canal, 2293 Celebration. I'm here just representing the Master Planning Group. It was here as well. We are trying to work with you guys on the master plan. We have had a great meeting, community meeting on the 20th. Had a great turnout. Are really going down that road. Any way that we could work with you. I know there's been disputes, but our group would love to work with you guys on your master plan. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Canal, 521 Campus Street. And like Jim, I'm on the master planning group, and I'd just like to reiterate Jim's comments. We've been, our first meeting was November 7th. Working closely with different groups throughout the community and making lots of good progress. So I think it's important for the community to see that both Pro and CDD are working together in all of the efforts. I think just so many opportunities for us to get synergies. At the same time, there's so many opportunities for this to grow disjointed. If you do a survey, we do a survey, it's just whatever, we're just looking like that. So I think we can work together. This is more work than the public, it's people who get done. So I just like to say, we're here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Brenda, can you let the record show Cassandra joined?
Yep, I sure did.
Thank you.
Good evening, Anderson, 206 on Celebration Boulevard. Couple of quick things. I want to continue to do a shout out to Russ and his team, particularly for extending the life of the wooden boardwalk behind the sign at Willow Drive. And Russ, whoever you got out there working on it in the last few days, very nice and said hello when people are passing. Also, the district is getting shout outs on social media every time there's somebody out working on the infamous Island Village Bridge. I know it's not Russ's team, but trees that have been replaced in Island Village recently are already dying. So I don't know where you all stand in terms of accepting easement trees, sidewalks, broken sidewalks, the newly broken sidewalks of the apartments.
When you say trees are dying, are the easement trees along the road or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're aware of those.
Mattamy planted them, as they progressed. A number of them died, and so they've been replaced, and those are dead, or a number of them. You may want to consider, the district may want to consider some type of outreach targeted to Island Village to remind people that trees are their problem. I'm sure a lot of folks may not know that, especially at the time that they have to be replaced again. And finally, and I don't know if this is really in your area of expertise or responsibility. We've had 2 serious accidents in the last few weeks at World Drive and Celebration Boulevard. Don't know the cause of them. Nothing's been said from the sheriff's department. But what I'm wondering is it time for us, the county, to install red light cameras for the right turn from the outbound Celebration Boulevard to the right turn onto World Drive, which is basically a throughway? or a free right rather. Regardless of what the traffic signal says. So a couple of times I've had to take evasive action and actually make the turn to avoid somebody plowing in the back. And so I'm going to start a conversation with our district commissioner. So at some point, you all may get a request for support.
Can I interject with our ongoing work with the county transportation on this? Because I think what you're referring to is the intersection where Will Drive dead ends at Celebration Boulevard,
Yes.
right? So I've been in contact with the county and the school district, the high school. They have a meeting coming up on the 6th of March to discuss improvements for that intersection.
Right. Hopefully it's a red light can remind everybody as well.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Angel, did you want to?
Evening, Tom Moots with United Land Service. Thank you for taking the time to meet. Just want to give you a brief update on where we are after the first month and what we're excited to see in the month to come. Mowing, we're still on a bi-weekly schedule for Floritan until the ground temperatures rise and actually calls for a weekly mowing schedule. Spot mowing, Bahia as of now, same thing until that happens. In contract in April. But you know as well as I do, we could get a spike in temperature and we need that sooner. We've got staff ready to go so we can hit the ground running. And that, this would be our first turf back is in this month of March. We're going to be aggressive with weeds, so you will see some yellowing of the grass, but don't be alarmed. That's part of it. Trimming, we started working on our cutbacks with canna lilies, ornamental grasses, and continue that service throughout the village. Let's see, we're excited for our property walk on the 6th. So that way we can get some items, as Mr. McLaughlin mentioned in North Village. So we can start beautifying the area and be proactive and getting the area back up to your standards.
Tom's a part of that walk as well.
Yes, sir. So irrigation, we've been able to get through the entire system with repairs. So I'm completely confident in our team to be able to continue to manage this system as needed to keep everything nice and green and wet as it needs. So other than that, there's not really anything else. Do you have any questions for me?
That one-time walk or are these periodic?
So we do them periodically. We just actually did one, 2 weeks ago, Russ? When Brett was here, I went through every village with him. This one that he's talking about is March 6th. Me, staff, and Tom and Benchmark, and we're kind of going to split it into enhancements and then what needs to be done. Like there's some turf that needs to be replaced right now, stuff like that. So we're doing two kind of in one to bring it back to the board with things that need to be done versus focal points, enhancements, that type of thing.
Are you also treating for ants and stuff?
Yes. Everybody's got a shaker right now. So everybody you see, every truck you see, they've got shakers. We're being proactive with that. You treat one ant mound, they end up moving over here. So you know how that is. So it's going to be an ongoing maintenance item.
Have you had anything pop up as issues that you weren't expecting or didn't think of or didn't know of ahead of time? Or
Not necessarily. The oaks, I just wish they'd make up their mind. I'm sure we can all appreciate how many oak trees we have on property. So as you get that rise and fall in temperature, they think they're going back into dormancy, and then when it rises again, they get another push for leaves. So that's a bit of a headache, but we're working to clean that up. Should have it cleaned up again within the next few weeks.
Should we look for a proposal for top choice, or are you guys handling the ants?
As of now, for the mounds, we're handling it. If they continue to get more rampant, especially in high traffic areas, then I would recommend a top choice for you.
Okay, just keep an eye on it and give us a proposal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Angel, I know we had a lot of safety issues prior. Any concerns or you guys noticed anything?
I haven't been reported about any safety issues at all.
We implemented that scorpion on Boulevard, which was a hot ticket item, especially for the crews up there. So it's hard to miss. It's a roll.
Oh, I've seen it.
It's a rolling blockade. So there's a few other items that I'm going to be retrieving for our crews as far as signs, especially for the Boulevard, men working signs, all that good stuff. So the more signage we have out there, the safer they are and safer everything is. So.
Yeah, we've gotten no complaints.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other public comments? Brenda?
No, no.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Jackson.
Hi.
Sure.
I just want to check in with you. I realize mosquito season is kind of coming, but as you notice, we haven't really had much of a winter. It rained in December and January. It has a 30-degree spread every day from 40 degrees to 70. So those warmer temperatures keeps the mosquitoes active. So I'm surprised you haven't, seen or heard anything from them, but in some areas it's already starting getting pretty busy. A lot of the nearby counties are like, we just never stopped working all through Christmas, all through January. So, but yeah, we're out there on it and we constantly got traps going. So, we know what's going on out there, but yeah, the season, I don't know if we can say it started early, but they're probably out already, getting plenty of moisture and plenty of warm temperatures, even though there's some fluctuation. So, they're out there, but we're out there too.
Good, thank you.
I don't know if there's any changes with Island Village. I know it's constantly,
We were getting some complaints early on. You guys addressed them and, I mean, to my knowledge, Russ, we haven't gotten any more.
Sounds good. And so I said, as you grow, we grow with you and just, let us know if there's anything else we can do for you or any changes we can make to the reports that help make it better to understand what we're doing. We're going to be reaching out to Kerry to try to do like an operational meeting where he gets to meet our operational managers, just get an idea of the full plan of what's going on. And at that time, anyone else who'd like to be in that meeting as well, us, everyone else that fits in. So I'll let you know as we work with Kerry what that will be.
Okay.
Invite anybody else that is like.
Awesome.
How do we compare to, I'm trying to remember if you have other properties in the area, either in Osceola County or sort of surrounding wise, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, if you want to email us later. How do we compare as far as mosquito issues and quantities and counts and data with, I've heard because we've got a lot of surrounding all around us, obviously, is a lot of conservation area and all that, but I've heard we're worse. I don't know if that's true.
Yes, that's a huge factor to it because in some areas where you're not kind of surrounded by it, maybe there's a natural patch on one side of it, but the rest of it is shopping malls and other developments. That cuts down the activity coming around from all sides. So, this area is probably one of the most active that we have. I'm trying to think of any others. Osceola County, Kissimmee, we even have some employees that live in that area. It's like, oh yes, it's terrible over there. So I think as you come from here, going closer to where our office is, off Michigan Avenue and that direction, we have some employees out there, so it's pretty bad there too. But communities that we treat, this is the one that's probably the most surrounded by natural areas that we don't have any control of treating. So, but again, because of the program, we're constantly monitoring it with traps, so it makes it easier to handle.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Always kind of randomly pop in. I appreciate that.
Should we? No questions for you, just a comment though. I checked, I don't think that is a topic, reporting mosquitoes on our app. Do we
On the
have-
app, you mean?
On the,
We have
Yeah.
my celebration.
We can add it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Any other comments in the room? Brenda, anybody online with comments?
No, sir, no one has raised their hand.
All right. Third party reports, Croa. Richards.
Good evening, Charles Richards, Celebration Residential Owners Association. I think this is my first in-person reporting what's going on in the rural world. So obviously tonight is election night, so we will have our results hopefully in the next couple of hours. So we'll be seating a new board in the next couple of days, which is very interesting and exciting. So we've got that going on. I would echo the comments of the Master Plan Advisory gentlemen who were just here. I think that I'll preface what I say is my own comment. I don't want to speak for the board, but I think synergies was a great comment. I think there are just natural synergies between CBD and Crow. And I think from a Crow perspective, I think our goal is going to be, our hope is going to be getting the management company really to put in what we do. And I think if we can do that and work together, we get some bandwidth back to really focus on some of the day-to-day operations with Crow. So I'm all for that. I think it makes a ton of sense. I think PennPAG is definitely right along. Safety and security is another topic we've been covering pretty frequently, so at some point, hopefully we'll get together. And some discussions around how we can connect on that. We obviously had some vandalism in January, at some of the parks, so trying to stay on top of that, see where we can get in front of that and make some improvements from a technology perspective there. So, good.
Comments, question? Jack, you had any meetings with them lately?
Not for, not.
Not for CDBG liaison stuff?
That's something else.
Okay.
Great conversation. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Corporation.
We still have not set a call. I think Joe was unavailable for what, last week, Jan, or this week?
Yeah.
He's unavailable.
We've been waiting 2 months for a call here. What,
Yeah.
who's holding up what where?
Well, it just depends on what day you ask. Because sometimes Joe was available and then the outside counsel wasn't available. And then Joe isn't available and outside counsel is. I sent a note across just saying, don't let me be the holdup. If
Yeah,
you guys
and I said the same thing.
Yeah,
We can just
get the
two of them together.
get it together and we can get an update after the fact. And I have not gotten a response back from Joe yet.
We've got to do something because we've been
This is
60 days sitting on this. It's just a
Mhm.
phone call. This is ridiculous that we can't.
Yep.
Find the time.
So trying to get everybody's schedules together is like herding cats. That's why I kind of backed out of it. Jan kind of backed out of it. And
just to get
get those
together.
yeah, with outside counsel, because they really are the ones who need to discuss. They added comments to his report
Mhm.
and they need to go over those comments with him and see, how we progress forward.
Whenever that's settled, can you just let me know when that is?
Mhm.
Just remembered I'm the liaison, I believe, for corporation, so
Okay,
the opportunity to listen in.
sounds good.
All right. And if we can really, like in the next week, get something set here. If not, I don't know what the alternative
If
is.
you said something, I can follow up with sort of a nasty.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
because every time it looks like it's going, like,
Right.
okay, good, he gave 3 dates, that's gonna work, and then something.
Stop me on nasty emails too, I like.
Don't you? Me too.
Especially if they're not pointed at. All right. Any other corporation questions? Sheriff's Department, Captain Calvis was gonna come, but I guess didn't make it, so, I know the only.
I really want an answer on the scooter issue.
That makes two of us.
We waited so long.
And you asked and it is in their court. I did
Yeah.
confirm that, that it's in the sheriff's department's court.
On what issue?
So this is the scooters.
Oh,
Scooter.
I didn't hear.
Scooters.
Yeah.
But I do know we had a meeting with them, I can't remember if it was since last meeting or right after last meeting.
Right after.
Right after. So we had to sit down with the new captain, the outbound captain, who's now Major Wilkinson. Angel, you weren't there, but Yesenia was. We had Jeffrey from Crow was there as well. So really just kind of introducing the new captain to the district. They did follow up specifically with Scoop, and they did 2 days. One of them was a morning, it was Wednesday morning and the following Tuesday afternoon where they did targeted enforcement around all 3 of the schools, particularly the K-8, but they did also hit Island Village. Really, the high school doesn't have a lot of it just because they're on the boulevard. But they went out to both schools and did, I still haven't heard how many actual engagements specifically on scooters they had. I know they did a lot of tickets with moving violations and people on cell phones and stuff like that when they're driving, so it was noticeable out there. I actually passed by on one of the days. But I have not gotten anything back on a 1-page do's and don'ts of scooter stuff. I don't want to say I've given up, but I've asked so many times.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, don't we have the ability to make a resolution on that can be enforced by the sheriff?
Probably not on a motor vehicle.
I don't think so.
Really basically the sheriff.
Resolution is what?
The sidewalks or for
Sidewalk
Sidewalk.
specifically. Like what is allowed on there and how fast it can go.
It depends what the motor vehicle law covers that. There's a new general counsel,
Alex Carr, he was the one that was on the email. but-
yeah. And I can reach out to him to see if he can give us something on the enforcement.
I mean, they're,
What
what,
are they enforcing, what are they not enforcing? So at least we know what we're working.
well, a couple things. Number one, I have implored them several times, make sure they're getting with the deputies to at least tell them what the rule, because a lot of them don't know.
Yeah.
Tell them what the rules are and tell them, hey, there are concerns here in town, and I told them, I said, guys, I don't care if you write tickets or not, we're not in that business. I just want you to know that you're being mindful of that as being some of the issues, particularly with our pay details. I also got from them though, I mean, the sidewalks, because they're not licensed, there's really not much they can do on the sidewalks, was the impression, and layman recalling this. But there's really not much they can do with, when they're engaged and motorized and on the street, they can do it when they exceed certain speeds. But on the sidewalks, there's really not anything to do because they're not.
Well, there is statutes. They're very conflicting though. I read them.
That you
One
can't.
says it's gotta be a human powered vehicle on the sidewalk. One of them,
And that's part of the problem is the state.
none of the statutes make sense.
The state statutes, yeah, so I mean, where we had left the conversation, and I've told them for a while, and if we want to engage it is, I think, Jan, I mean, more an ordinance. You know, if we wanted that, but again, what are we asking for? Because if we do it as a resolution. Again, Jan, correct me if I'm wrong, we then have to, we would have to then include that in some sort of interlocal agreement and possibly become a cost for them to enforce that, or we just use our details to enforce it. But again, I don't know what we're asking, regardless of the mechanics, what do we want to do?
We're not asking for them for anything on their right of way up county owned streets, but we on the sidewalks, we should be able to say what goes.
All right, let me reach out to their council and see where he is, because I don't think he was really engaged in the beginning. We started this discussion way.
Yeah, didn't the school resource officer contact us about this?
He had made comments in a SAC meeting, but especially at the beginning of the year, they were having so many issues that he was trying to get the school district to figure out if the school district could support him just banning them at school. But then he was able to kind of get it tamed down. It was just his first couple of weeks, I think, were a problem. I mean, we're not making it as a motion now. I don't know that I support banning them on the sidewalks. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not banning anything particular, just like we wouldn't want a motorcycle on the sidewalk, we should be able to say, whatever is on the sidewalk has to comply with these particular, strengths, conditions.
Motorcycles are prohibited by state law, so
Yeah,
I'll
scooters,
take, yeah, the scooters have it's a terrible statute, I agree. The
But I mean, even the bikes, you can operate them just as a regular bike and not have them motorized. And that's the problem the sheriff's department is saying. Because part of the rules, even in the street, if somebody's riding a motorized bike in the street, they're pedaling it, they can pedal it at 50 miles an hour. And they're okay.
Well, the other
It's
thing
not
is-
until they engage the motor that all of a sudden they're ticketable.
Well, think about how our sidewalks are designed. If you have a 5-foot sidewalk, it's not designed for a, Tour de France bike going through there, right, at 50 miles an hour. Those are relegated for either the roadways, bike lanes, or multi-use trails, which are much wider. So that's why I think it's incumbent on us to make sure we identify for or sidewalks of given widths and boardwalks, and what can and can't go there. And I don't see, we just plant a flag down and say this is what goes.
So
The issue is we can't enforce it, so we have to,
But we can still put a resolution out.
we can do a rule, so
We
at least
point to
somebody
that.
can object.
We wouldn't be the first person to put out a resolution. No teeth.
well,
All right, let me talk to the sheriff's attorney and also maybe reach out to the county attorney to see if they have thoughts, or has anybody else done anything yet in the county?
well, I can answer the second part of that because they've said that to me 20 times.
They haven't done anything?
No, I mean, they don't,
Okay, county.
the county's
They're-
barely even thinking about this as an issue.
Okay,
And
so
the county was going around other communities like Harmony and elsewhere. And kind of what I got back from him was,
Nobody's doing
we're the only ones really saying anything. Yes, there's some incidents here or there. I guess my question, I don't think the time to litigate it now, but try to figure out how far do we have you go? Because I'm concerned as to, okay, what are we putting in for rules on there? If the kid's riding a scooter and he's doing it reasonably, he's not mowing people down at 30 miles an hour.
You put
My kid rides on 7 miles an hour.
You put a speed limit, you put guidelines for who needs to have a helmet on, for what conditions, you figure out depending on the width of the byway, what's allowed there and what's not. Set the laundry list, and then,
Now I'm trying to think of a 10-year-old kid that's gonna remember I have to wear my helmet here and I can only say, I'm trying to figure the practicality. of it.
so
It's my
it
concern.
clarifies what's out there now, which is not. And it's a constant kind of frustration, as we all can see, you just, you
Yeah,
have the ability to do something
but
about
we
it.
don't wanna do something that's totally unenforceable, because then we get, litigation potential, somebody's injured and we've got something out there saying you can't do it, but we didn't stop it. So
They can-
we've gotta
If
wait.
we say they're okay to go 10 miles an hour and they went 9 and all of a sudden crashed into a tree,
Well, that'd be okay, but if somebody was going 15.
That'll be.
I'm not worried about that, because it was his problem.
Yeah,
But if
just
we
not-
say you can't go more than 10 miles an hour and people are doing it and we don't enforce it, or if enforcement is just say, no, you can't do that anymore. Then, you know, we get into did we give people the feeling it would be safe on the sidewalks? Because we instituted a rule, then we couldn't do anything about it.
But we've got details with radar guns, they can figure out what a guy's, the bike.
And listen,
we got
That's the
enough
question,
problems
will the
doing traffic.
sheriff enforce?
What?
And
And-
will the
and-
sheriff enforce something if we impose it? So that's really the question I gotta find out. They may say, no way, we aren't dealing with. sidewalks."
And part of the problem, I mean, to your point, even what's on the books, as confusing as it may be, with our paid details, I can't even get them to enforce that. And I've asked them several times, hey guys, we have a problem, and I've given them the target areas where you see stuff between in downtown or you hear on Facebook or whatever else. There's a couple kids tearing up downtown, and I still can't get them down there to do that. The one time they pulled over one kid, they didn't do anything with it. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to get with Alex Card and
Yeah,
figure
let
out,
me at least
I
make a
don't want to
follow-up.
say I'm at my wit's end, but I've asked these guys so many times, I can't even get them. I was even trying to go a step simpler than that, rather than talking about enforcement stuff. Just give me a broken down layman's version, do's and don'ts, a one-page slick sheet thing that we can post up on a website or have them hand out at the school or something like that. Again, it's not our responsibility to necessarily educate people on how to ride a scooter, but to the extent they're on our sidewalks, yeah, we should be saying, hey, don't do
I
unreasonable
believe
things.
there's planning guidelines on, depending on how wide a sidewalk is, again, I'm only talking about sidewalks, is in a given width of sidewalk, there's guidelines of what the maximum speed is for those, it's plannings. I think it comes from DOT. So, I don't know, might ask some of my planning friends, they can come up with those guidelines, and that might be a base.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see what let me. make a
I'll
couple-
hand off
Yeah.
make sure you've got the contact info. I mean, again,
no.
I'm not trying to dip out of the company.
No,
I feel like
we're
I've got
dealing with
people.
him on a couple other CPDs on other issues.
Yeah.
So, we'll reach out and find out what we can and can't do, see if we can push to get the do's and don'ts, so at least we know what they're supposed to be enforcing.
Yeah.
Then see if there's anything we can do on our end.
One other issue under the sheriff's department, any thought, any progress on the traffic study for the light at the library?
It's not really the sheriff, that's the county.
You know, any progress on that? Because today, is there,
I-
either 4:30 and the line was humongously long.
I had that on my list of 12 things that they've told me no on 7 of them, so I'll see if that's one of the remaining 5.
Okay.
Cool. Any other sheriff's department items? The one other thing, Angel, was when I did talk to Captain Wilkinson or Major Wilkinson afterwards, they do have bike details now. Yes, on bicycles, so particularly for our downtown evening ones. If we want to assign a bike unit instead of a motor unit. The only problem is he would prefer they do them in pairs, and we only have it budgeted for one. But if we also take maybe one of our regular
Details
pair them
away.
up and do it too.
Yeah.
He said if you put that request in, he's got like 30-something guys that can do that. I think that'd be good. Doesn't have to be every weekend, but every now and then interspersing would be
Yeah.
useful.
That's fine.
All right, consent agenda, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, business matters, Bat House Project for Boy Scout Troop 125. So
my ears.
there you go. So maybe I'll kind of help introduce this one a little bit. Jacob had come up and I think through the scouts said the word had gotten out after we had a discussion 4 or 5 months ago, and I asked some of the leadership there whether or not anybody would be interested in doing bat houses. We had one scout that was interested and then ended up finding something else, but then recently in the past month or 2 years, we started talking and had a meeting about a month ago just to kind of outline what it was with Russ as well, what we thought the ask might be from the district. We never really talked about it fully as a board, but what he would propose to do for us as part of his project. So if you want to go through some of the presentation that we put together and then
I just
some questions.
this.
Sure.
It's okay.
Sure.
Where should I set up?
Right
You
there.
ready?
So as you can see, went through the process of finding out different information about bats and what type of bats live in the state of Florida. And some of the I also have 2 different bat house designs for to put them up because I believe that we're going to do about 10 bat houses, so 5 each of these.
and also how, you know, making sure that the bats are safe, so these bats actually eat a lot of like mosquitoes and other insects. So that would also be good, so, you know, we don't have to spend that much on pesticides. So, bats and also some of these are species, so help the population.
Keep them out of Dave's attic.
So where would, where would the locations be?
I believe that, we should go around and just find any suitable locations for them.
Russ, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
I mean, you name it, there's hundreds and hundreds of places we could find to pop up a bat house on a tree out in the woods.
So part of my suggestion, I know University of Florida has a entomology department or something, and I think they'll make some, I think, free recommendations on this from what I heard, and so I suggested as far as placement stuff, but I think the idea that Russ and I had talked with, Jacob and his team was, doing them around the outer edge of town and actually mounting them up in trees, so Russ would be the one actually putting them in the trees. Jacob will handle building them and all that, but we'll have staff mount them up in the trees around the outer perimeter.
How high do we have to put the tree?
That's a big thing, we just need to find out really the height, you know, like, does it need to be facing north and it should be kind of a dry area or wet area or in between and then go from there.
I think part of
So
that,
why do we need bat houses? Can we get to that? So I can't. And in the myths, because I always think of bat.
can you bring that
Carry
closer to the
disease,
next?
yeah. Carry disease, you don't wanna see them.
They wouldn't be like out in the community, but
Yeah, they would
But
be
yeah,
mostly-
put it on the record so people, you know, who are hearing it for the first time would understand. And why do we need bat houses?
Because of the recent problems with the bats going into people's houses and also protects them. You know, also there are some endangered species in Florida that helps with their shelter. Stop them from population from plummeting.
Okay.
Yeah, let me comment based on my most
Yeah,
recent
you're
interaction. So, the bats, when they inhabit a house, when you all of a sudden close that off, they puts them into a stressed environment, because now they have to find somewhere to short enough time to go rehab it. And so they're gonna go just to the nearest location, which is probably somebody else's house, but if they have an actual permanent location, then there can be less infestation, and it's better for bats. The other thing that I will ask is that from my, traumatic experience, was that when I talked to the exterminator, I guess the relocator.
He was an exterminator.
Yeah, he was. But it's critical, the type, location, not only height, but also what it's near and not near are critical in order for it to be successful.
Yes.
If you don't take all those into consideration, nobody will have the house. So you have to, I would suggest, talk with experts in this field that know, the most optimal location in order to put a house. And because actually it's in the woods, he
What
said, not,
might you suggest?
I can send a
Florida.
contact.
That we said the UF one.
You know, there's a Florida, they do better than we do.
And who's the best point? I have a person I talked to, I don't know if I can forward that to Russ. Gave me all that information about that. It's just who's leading up the effort.
I've been the one talking with them along for us, so you can send it to Russ if you have it on.
So what do we being asked to do?
So
to approve it.
to approve it. So number one.
Approve how many or what?
Well, I think it
How much
could be
does it cost?
conditionally based on where it goes, because
Well,
I think
and
he's
some of us-
only wanting to do two, correct?
No, I would say
Oh.
about 10.
Oh,
And
10.
then there's just two, different designs for them.
Oh,
Oh,
got it.
okay.
Okay, wow, I didn't realize that.
Now, this isn't brand new, because back 30 years ago, when
They
this
did
was
it.
first developing this, they put up bat houses. How
Yeah.
many? I don't know, but we had found a few.
You know,
Oh, okay.
you to Fort Wilderness and look up at night, there's thousands of bats out there.
And how much will it cost?
It's not gonna.
Yeah, me and my family are going to be paying for all of it. It's just.
Oh, move to approve this.
Oh, okay.
We don't pay for anything, and also we don't even have to set them up in the town of Celebration, because I'm not a resident of the town of Celebration, but I go to the troop here. I could just build them at my house, and we don't really require anything but putting somebody to put.
On
them
our
up.
property.
They're not allowed to
Okay.
climb something.
Liability there,
Okay.
doing construction here.
Mhm.
Russ will be doing it, anything that's happening on our property, staff.
You'll put it out.
That was my first one. The second question is, there's an architectural component to this as far as aesthetics. So you just can't put up anything.
That's
Kind
right.
of hidden in the trees, who's gonna see it?
I don't
You're
think
not
it is.
gonna be able to visually see these.
I don't think that's the optimal location, what I was told. It's supposed to be offset from the woods, or else the best won't go.
So
So
let's.
that's why we wanna see.
Yeah.
the
But we'll
location.
find out, Al.
So what I would make a motion on then is, I'd make a motion to approve. And then we ask before, so the construction of the houses, I think is fine. He's gonna, to fund them and do the construction, they'll do that at their house. Before the placement, if we can have a report back, and I don't know if it needs to come back to a meeting or not, but at least something that shows that there's, whether it's UF or whoever else, that there's been some thought put into it with people who know where to place houses. That there's some foundation for this, and then you can send that to staff, and staff can just read that out if we have any questions.
Yeah, I don't think it has to come back to a meeting.
Okay,
No.
Yeah.
All right, I second your motion.
there you go. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate it.
That'll be done next week, right? Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and just, if you can keep Russ and me just updated on timelines, any concerns or issues you have, and whatever time it takes, to make sure it's done right.
we keep you in
Is that an Eagle Scout project or anything?
Yes, it is an Eagle Scout.
All right.
Appreciate you
Good luck
being an
with
Eagle
that.
Scout. It's awesome. Thank you. All right, 7B, news article of motion.
That's all.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
All right. 7C, construction use applications from Duke Energy.
I would lump them all together. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and only one or two even block the sidewalks. They're
And-
very specific on.
I don't see a problem with them all at all, so I move to approve them all.
Joint second.
Any discussion? Obviously, Russ, you guys will,
And it's
Free-
very
free
minor
scoping
stuff.
and-
They've been doing this stuff since day one. So a lot of it's just popping a transformer on pads they've already got out there and stuff like that.
okay. All right, any other questions or discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7B, Jan, do you wanna
Sure.
leave us a song here?
Yeah, I mean, as you all know, we had vetted security solutions, put up the LPR cameras along with the sheriff. And the sheriff does all the monitoring, equipment is all on their surfaces. Greg had learned there were some issues that the sheriff had, and I was on one phone call where the sheriff has terminated services with vetted. And it's no longer using them and has not been for a while. So when the renewal came up just a couple of weeks ago, the time to not renew was up. So with discussions with Greg, we decided to terminate that since the sheriff was implying that they would prefer a different vendor. And they had indicated that they weren't getting service, that they had to actually go out and adjust some cameras themselves. I don't know, Greg, if you want to add, but apparently there had been some ongoing issues with the vendor. And so since we had the option for a non-renewal, it seemed to make sense to do it then. Otherwise, if we spent any more time investigating, it would have required a one-year payment, even if we discontinue the contract for the balance of the year. So, Angel put a letter to non-renew and they're removing cameras this week and we think there will be no additional payments. We'll confirm that as soon as the cameras are taken out. And then, I mean, it looks like the appropriate thing, since everybody liked the cameras and the sheriff was happy with the system, would be to authorize negotiating with another vendor. Authorize getting a contract signed as quick as possible, so it'll be a very short time frame.
So I'd like, if we can, to do a motion, I don't know if we need to do two separate motions, one for the termination, but a second one, Jan, help me out here,
To delegate authority to the chairman to,
up to the amount of what our current
yeah,
contract is.
exactly, not to exceed our current contract, and if that's not possible, then come back to the board, but it appears that there's other options out there.
Well, I'm always gonna default to 3 bids and you should evaluate, and go through a formal process. But you're saying that's not feasible?
So we,
Since the sheriff is using this, I mean, the preferred method for them would be to use who they are using.
we had done, when we initially did these a couple of years ago, there were really two vendors out there. This one is Vigilant is Motorola. And the other one is a company called Flock. If I remember right, the Flock one, the price was significantly higher. And it was a startup, not a startup, but they weren't nearly as mature. I mean, you go to Vigilant, you see those are the cameras that Disney uses. I mean, it's proliferated all through the area. But most importantly, because the sheriff's department already had it integrated with their real-time crime center, they've already got the software platform that people already know how to use it. It made sense. So we did get competitive bids there. We only went, there was one bid from a Flock vendor and one bid from a Vigilant vendor because Vigilant regionalizes. So they would only have one contractor coming into this region to offer services. They wouldn't allow somebody else to come in there to do it. But we had two competitive of two different technologies. This one potentially would be going straight to Vigilant Motorola instead of the vendor that they're using.
Yeah, that just gets us linked in with the sheriff, because if we were on two disjointed systems,
if we went to Flock, it would be
Sure,
it
it's gonna learn.
It would
it
require
wouldn't be
change.
impossible, but it would be problematic for the sheriff to start because it's not just the learning time for them to figure out how to use the system. They've also got laptops in their vehicles that their deputies on the road are getting those alerts. They've got their crime center. It becomes problematic for them, and the price difference. I remember right, Flock was a little bit higher, but they weren't that much off from each other anyway. So,
okay, I mean, as long as we're not getting raked over coals or taken advantage of.
yeah. Well, and if we were to renew at or below the price of where we're at now, anyway, we're
That's the
we're
guardrail.
going to a different vendor, but we're basically keeping within the city budget.
Okay.
So do we need two motions on that, or just roll this to one,
You
terminate?
can one into one.
Okay, so motion
To
terminate.
ratify the termination and to delegate to the chairman to negotiate and enter into a contract so long as it's equal to or less than the current contract.
What she said.
And
There we go.
the power was removed last Friday on all the cameras, so they're not working now.
Okay.
The
Just
power
also-
was removed,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
we had
you have to
un-
disconnect the power
Before they would
so they
come
can
and
remove.
but we still
We
have
did
the
it.
power boxes because we're the ones who
Yes.
installed all that stuff. They just took the
Yes.
cameras.
Yes.
No, that's not true. It's the cameras and the boxes that they took.
We disconnected.
All we did was connect
There's a
the
little
power.
streetlight box. The box is still there.
Yeah,
It's the conduit that went up into their box. We removed that.
yeah. They take their box and the camera.
But we put in that conduit.
And we've got the
And we've
conduit
got
in
the-
electrical shed.
Okay, so
So
the
we
conduit
can
was removed, but
reinstall
you can okay.
Yep.
Got it. Just want to make sure we still have the stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
they
why I
only
was
took their
asking
stuff.
the other day, we plan on possibly getting,
Yes. Okay. I didn't think you were taking it all down. Okay. I got
we
to
didn't want to have it dangle on that.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
So Greg made the motion.
No, Jack did.
Jack, okay.
So, second,
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Contractor evaluations.
So there were only, you all had asked for contract evaluations, these will be now. Either fiscally one done or every 6 months, however you want these done. So Benchmark is new, obviously, or United is new. Solitude, Clark are really the only ones that got evaluated. Clark, awesome job, very responsive. They're out here all the time. They show up to meetings without being invited, respond promptly to any concerns we send them. Just really, really great. Solitude, on the other hand, we're struggling a little bit with them, getting them to do certain things in a timely fashion. They are responsive, but getting them to do things in a timely manner seems to be a little bit of a struggle. We did a walk a week ago.
1 or 2 weeks ago.
1 or 2 weeks ago, we did a walk with Solitude and Tom. And there seems to be like United's doing some stuff that Solitude really should be doing. And then, you know, that you paid $26,000 to have that Marisol pond dredged. Well, now there's another lump in it. It appeared after like 30 days in the exact same spot. Well, they gave us another proposal for $9,000 to do it. And I'm like, I'm not presenting that to the board. You need to take care of this because there's no way that that pond, he said, is about 6 or 7 feet deep. he said.
That's what he said.
So that's what he said. And my point was, okay, we had it done. So in 30 days, you're telling me
We have 6 feet. of dirt.
6 feet. No, more than that, because it's like 3 feet above the water line. So I was like, no. We were out there, like I said, a week or 2 weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, we'll take care of it. It's still not taken care of. And that was then. We also talked about, there were some canna lilies that you all got planted. Some died in kind of places. And he said he was going to take care of that. And there's some additional plantings that we want in different locations, but that still hasn't been done. But I did receive the proposal for the new
So that.
installation. So it's just kind of that kind of stuff. It's not
They're not jumping.
a partnership type relationship that we're looking for that we typically have with our vendors. I can tell you, and I don't want to speak for Tom, but Tom voiced to Russ and I while we were walking. I mean, he's just not thrilled. He's not
Tom's unhappy about something?
he doesn't feel that we should, he's not saying jump out and go out to bid, but they're just not being responsive. Jason, I thought was going to be at this meeting, being that we just had the walk to update everything, at least to have the dredging done and all that. And he's not here unless Brenda, is he online?
He was for a little bit and then he signed off a little while ago. He may jump back on later. I'm not sure.
Okay. So that's basically where we're at. I was probably a little more generous than I should have by giving him a 7 out of 10. It was probably more along the lines between a 5 and a 6 out of 10. So
I don't think I want a F-rated vendor.
Well, so my recommendation, and the intent of these was, number one, if anybody wants to provide comments into these.
Yes.
From a board perspective, because I would like to, whether we want to do that right now or give a week after the meeting,
Mhm.
that folks can give comments back to Angel. Angel can consolidate those, put it in a scorecard, send it back to the vendor and let.
Yeah, they're not equal though, because they deal with them day to day. I go every
Yeah.
Friday, I take a picture of.
And that's what I said, we don't have to provide any comments at all. If we're good
Yeah.
with what's in here, then let's send out what's in here. I'm fine with that too. I mean, as far as, so,
Tom will probably add some comments. I know he had a busy, the reason he can't be here, but he was aware of because that falls under maintenance. So he may have some comments. So if he does, I'll definitely share those back with the board.
Mm.
So as it sits right now, I mean, I'm never a proponent to go out to bid unless you absolutely have to, but
we talked about this at the last meeting or the meeting before,
2 meetings in a row.
that this comes up in August, July,
I'd have to
sometime
look.
around then.
Mhm. I'll have to look.
We need to absolutely be,
So here's my recommendation. We're going into the budget season. So if
competitive bids now, so we can put that into the budget.
that's my point, if the board is not wanting to give them any sort of, stretch out, I would say we need to start getting bids together now because you're going into budget season. And again, whether you act on them or not, it's under the threshold. So you could reject all bids or whatever if Solitude turns it around. But at least we would have numbers for the budget. That would be my recommendation.
So knowing that we're in February now, if you were to run a bid, you'd get stuff back by April, May timeframe, I'm assuming.
Oh, I'd get them back in April because we could put out the RFP like
Yeah.
instantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So they have 2 contracts, though, one for the maintenance, one for the aerator, both
Mhm.
aquatic and aerator.
Mhm.
And they're, one's in March and one's in August.
But the aerator isn't one, like they got an individual contract for each one of those aerators.
It's just a maintenance contract.
the maintenance piece of it.
Yeah, it's a maintenance contract for aerators and then the pond
I'm happy how
maintenance.
that worked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, that's just my recommendation, is to make sure we're covered for budget because you don't want to go after your budget cycle and then go, oh, we need to go out to bid. And then it comes in higher or whatever,
But are you
lower.
suggesting we go to bid with one but not the other, or are you suggesting we go? I would prefer going with both.
Honestly, I'm a proponent of going out to bid for everybody.
I so am I. I mean,
That's my stock
we did this as a no bid because we had to, because our last company bailed on us in the middle of the summer when everything was falling apart, so we didn't really have a choice. But we'd even said last year when this was going well, that we were gonna go to bid once they came up second year, so. The fact that they're not doing well, I just voted against that. So
I will always be a proponent of
I'd advocate going out with both. I'd like to keep, even though the maintenance of the aerators and the treatment, two separate contracts, I'd recommend we crush it all as one scope and put it out on the street.
And again, like I said, for budget purposes, but if you decide Solitude turns it around and you end up keeping them, then it will be a moot point at that you don't have to do anything with them. If that's what you choose.
So is it the spray or just the ponds? Is that what we're really?
We
looking
would,
at,
we would
or
do it all
is it all
together.
the other stuff lacking?
No, I think
Like
the main,
planning and the.
yeah,
I will say, just in their defense, I think it was Wednesday,
Mhm.
one of the gentlemen that sprays here
Mhm.
came in by himself. Is there any bad spots? We pulled them 2 places. I can already see all the stuff's dead. So
good.
I'm not saying they don't react,
Well, at the last
but
one,
the other thing, like the canas and stuff like
Mhm.
that, that's
yeah.
a little bit different. And the dredging,
We did, on our walk with Jason, we did ask that his tech start checking into the office, so they are doing that now. And again, that walk was just like 2 weeks ago. So they are doing that, which we asked.
All
So
right, so
that's good.
I would make a motion with 2 parts. One, that we accept these with any comments, giving a week. If any supervisors want to send comments for Angel to consolidate in. They will then take those and send those out to companies and have whatever appropriate conversations after that with them. And then number 2, that we do, I don't know if we need a motion on it, that we actually start going with the bid
Yeah,
process.
you need to direct staff to go
All right,
out
so let's do
to,
the first motion on these.
RFP.
I make a motion that we do that. One week for supervisor comments, leave these and we'll issue back to the companies. Second,
Sounds good.
all's in favor?
Right.
All right, and then separately to go ahead and put together an RFP package to consolidate everything that the Solitude's doing for us now in time for the budget.
okay.
Angel, you mentioned earlier about doing.
Does motion in a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Cool. Angel,
That's gonna be my question. Do you want these annually? Do you want them every 6 months? How do you want them?
I think when you have a star performer like Clark, I'd say annually.
Okay,
And with Solitude, I'd say every 6 months for right now, so we can get them on the schedule we want.
okay. What about Benchmark or United?
I think we ought to do one in 6 months and then we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
When do you do management? Is it annually or 6
My
months?
conversations, we send it out for you guys. It's annually right now. We
Okay,
actually need- that was one of my comments, was I was gonna send that.
yeah,
out.
because February would be
This is-
annual, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I mean, I think it as a general policy to do them every year, and then at the board discretion, if we think we do.
do an additional, okay,
With increased frequency based on performance, and then just ask you to do that.
okay, so we'll do annual overall, but like I said, Benchmark or United's new, so we'll do those, I'll do that first one in 6 months.
Okay.
And then,
I mean, Solitude, we really need before we make a decision. If their contract's up in August, we really need something by June
something meaning
and another evaluation.
another evaluation.
June will be great because it's right in the height of the summer, so we'll know whether or not they're doing it the last. Okay, and yes, separately, I will take the template we had last year for Infomark for their evaluation. I'll send that out to Angel, she should distro it to everybody, so we can all get those comments back by next meeting. We can consolidate those in for their evaluation as well.
Should we just use the form we had last year?
If you still got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless anybody wants to change that.
And I have the form already if you want me.
Email it out.
Send it out.
I'll email it. I already have the template because I use the same template for these.
Okay.
So I already have it. I'll send it out.
How about the street sweeper?
I did not do one for him. I can.
I think we should.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of, okay. Street sweeper. I can do his now too. I can do that and send that out to you guys immediately.
Okay.
Those are your 3 main, I mean, you have a fountain guy who comes and checks the splash pad, but I mean, there's like nothing.
Yeah.
Kind of nothing.
Okay.
So I'll add the street sweeper. I'll do that one now. It won't take long. And then I'll send that out just for everybody's review.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, 7F. Do you want to lead us, Angel, or Dave? Who wants to?
this is Dave's baby.
Sure.
Is no one here?
Is who?
Are any vendors here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you got two back there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thanks for staying.
Yeah, that's.
We got it within an hour, that's very good. So, a follow-on to our previous meetings, we went out with a revised scope of work. The bidder responded with a revised proposal. And it comes to the point now where we're ready to take the next step. The next step, is nuanced, because there's a couple of items that are part of this that are kind of undefined. When we go to a master planning process, most importantly, one of the first steps is evaluating like the sites and where potential amenities can go. And I was hoping by now that that would be a lot more defined than it is, but it's not, because there's other properties owned by CFI and the school that are not yet a known quantity. So that's going to put a halt in any sort of master planning until any consultant or anybody working on what a master plan would be, whether they're in play or not. But it does not preclude us from finding the right team to take us forward in this effort. So in that regard,
I'm sorry, let me pause for a second. So, just so I'm understanding that right, you think it wouldn't be proven until we know that we've got access to one or both of those sites to actually sign a contract, but we're presumably selecting who we would want to do that?
we would not go and initiate contracting until we had a defined scope, which we don't. We have to tell the bidder, the consultant that's chosen, all right, here's your field that you have to work with. And until we get to that point, it's just not, it's not defined, it's still a little bit uncertain.
Okay.
But what we are able to do is take a look at the team that we want to bring on board in order to get that holistic process, which we do have enough information to work with at this point. So the way that I see it playing out is that we go through and debate what the best firm would be to take us through this process. I'm also going to layer on the fact that there would be project management from the CDD involved with this in order to manage this effort separately. Then there's the consultant, and with discussions with Angel, it's not a core competency, I'll say, for Infomark.
Right.
So in parallel, once we go forward with a vendor, we'd also have to take a look at going out and finding a project manager to do that. And we've all gotten some unsolicited and unbiased feedback, which you've seen from someone that is in that space.
Are you suggesting we would need the project manager during the charrette process in this contract, that we would hire them
And
early on, that they could kind of watch it and observe it, and that way, as whatever the result of that is, then they already got the springboard to then go into the next phase?
Right, so what the project manager is able to do is that, is to help shepherd the consultant, where we can't be there on a day-to-day basis, right? But
Right.
they would be, and they would have the resources to bear in order to guide this process, because as was mentioned at the beginning, from the master plan advisory group representative, is that there's an opportunity here to get several entities to collaborate. And although the consultant, that's going to be part of their scope, the project manager is also going to be able to guide them. So because we don't want them going out to 8 different entities, because that's a little bit difficult to do. So they would work on the process of getting everybody into the room and guiding how that information gathering and visioning exercise goes.
So the project manager would presumably be the person that, if we were to hire them in parallel with this, they would be the one overseeing it all the way through construction.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
And to back up to what Dave was saying, we wouldn't handle the project from start to finish. Obviously, that's what you're hiring. We would, however, work with that project management as facilitators to be able to facilitate things for them between the board and them, and even the vendor that you choose. So we would be that facilitator. We just wouldn't manage the project in depth like what your project manager would from start to finish. So we would be involved, but as much as we need to be involved, we will be, but it wouldn't be to that level.
So what we're not able to do right now, I believe, is to actually affix a price or to lock in any sort of budget, because like I said, what we realized that during the presentations is that there's several ways that can go about doing that. It can involve lots of different meetings, it can involve targeted meetings, and then it could be iterative. We might have a meeting and then realize we have to have another meeting, and then another one, and it could branch out in several different directions. It's just nothing that we know at this point. So I would advise that we're not selecting someone at a given rate right now. We're just trying to find the best team to work.
So if you don't mind, I'm Tom Tucson, because he couldn't be here. He would like me to read his comments into the record.
Can I, before you do that,
Sure.
before I forget the thought, I didn't understand your last comment. We would select somebody, but you're saying not at a rate.
No, we would select somebody as our primary vendor and then enter into contract negotiations. And that gives us that time frame in order to get all of the other parcel uncertainties flushed out.
Okay.
And then once that becomes solidified, then we can lock in a contract and then the work would start.
Got it. Sorry, go ahead.
Here are my perspective issues to be read at the meeting. Master plan proposals. There are 2 action items that need to happen before we can move forward with a possible $100,000 or $200,000 proposal. We still do not know if the school district will give us or let us purchase the land on Celebration Avenue. We are still waiting on their attorney feedback for months now. In addition, we still do not have a final place for the baseball fields to move to. Unless we have a final decision on both of these, we will be spending money we might not have to, we might not have to, since unless we have a place for baseball, we cannot move forward with the community center. And if we don't have a decision on the land, we cannot move forward with a decision on spending any money on a property we may or may not own. I do not want to go down the path of CROA, where tens of thousands of dollars were spent with nothing to show for it. Entertainment on the Esplanade. Oh, that's a different subject.
So let me maybe help fill in some of the color as well. So a couple different discussions. Number one, I've got a meeting at the school district tomorrow, and according to the superintendent and hopefully some of the staff on where they're at for the K-8 discussion. Separately, Mark and I walked through 2 Fridays ago with the district manager from CIFTOD on the K-5 lot. It was there was a lot of positive intent and desire to work with us. That doesn't obviously relieve any of the concerns of gas lines and things like that. But he did say that they would be, he thinks they would be supportive. He'd have to take it to his board. He hasn't had a motion, but he would support a discussion with the board of doing an easement over the land, that we didn't have to pay for the land, that they would just allow us to build over the top of it with baseball fields. He would back that up. And he also mentioned that, particularly with the gas line conversation, we were talking about how much of a struggle Mark was having, just trying to get some answers from them. And I asked him, I said, hey, we're a tiny little CDD. You guys are big burly CIFTOD. Do you guys have any magic juju with them? He said, well, I'm the biggest consumer of their services in the States, and chances are I can have a conversation, probably have a little bit. Again, that's no guarantee, but he said he was willing to throw some skin in the game in the conversations to help weigh in with gas companies at that point. So the next step was Mark is getting a meeting scheduled with, I guess it was their engineering staff, or what was it? It wasn't clear exactly.
Came from Glenn, and I'm not sure who else, and I saw you chimed in that you wanted to be part of that.
Yep.
I threw him some dates, so you must have thrown him some dates as well.
I hadn't, but I can, yeah. So in the next week or two, I think that was what Glenn was looking for, was to actually bring some of his planning and engineering types onto the phone and talk a little more specifically. So Dave, to your point, no, we don't have obviously commitment. They would need to take it as a motion to their board to at least allow for the easement piece, never mind the gas line part. And then separately, Mark working on the gas lines. Yeah. So we can
Mark, that piece, will it be big enough for ball fields?
Fairly big enough.
And that's barely big enough, is assuming you've got exactly the same size as what's out on the K lot today. So I mean, even if you had to back that in, this conversation I had with Alec, I said, Dave, you need to come 10 or 15 feet off of that just to fit it in there. He said, that's fine. I mean, it's still a good sized field for the little guys. And then they're already using the high school field for their teenagers, bigger fields.
So when we build this field, it'll be a Class A ball field. Who will maintain it at Class A standards?
It would be our ball field. So you will.
We'll even have your statue out front.
Yeah, were you saying something? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just hesitant on getting something from the school board on the ball field parcel now because that attorney general opinion's out there and I don't think they will respond until that comes back.
On the AG, yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be a couple more months. At least.
I had a one-on-one with their attorney, you and I talked about that about a month ago or 3 or 4 weeks ago. I sat down with her after a separate meeting and just said, because trying to catch her up as to what the ask was here. She, all she knew was there was an outstanding AG that come back and she had some thoughts on it, and she said, I really can't weigh in. I haven't read up enough on it yet. So I sent her, I copied you on the note that sent out.
Yeah.
Waiting to hear back, so I'll poke the bear with staff with them, but all that to say, yes, you're right, we do not have a commitment from the school district yet, hard and fast. Now, listen, the school district one, you know, the two options there were either a $0 transfer and sort of some sort of shared usage agreement under a joint use agreement, or just a straight up sale. So it may come down to maybe they just want to do the straight up sale piece and keep it as a clean thing. So I'm trying to poke them and say, hey guys, give us something, see what you're open to. If not one, give us the other. And I do know at their workshop that they had back in September, the board was supportive of the district to declare that as excess land, with the intent of going discussions with us on this kind of project, whether it was a sale or a gateway. So that was kind of, I think, reiterate the timing commentary from you.
Please broad time.
It is, and listen, I mean, I think the school district would have moved a little bit faster if they hadn't switched out attorneys 2 months ago. That certainly didn't help. And
we want the stuff done yesterday, but I don't see it occur.
Even if we had the land stuff all locked up today, I mean, James already said, 2 years to get construction, all that. I'd much rather take the time, make sure we get it right. And I think to Tom's point, I fully agree with. I mean, if we're looking at, the range of costs on these bids, I don't want to go committing on one of them right now and signing a contract because I don't think we're there. I think I like that we went through the due diligence on this. I think we'll absolutely end up executing on one of these. It makes me think as well, though, if you're talking, you should have a project manager in parallel with this, starting that person now. Do we solicit for that as well in the meantime and see what that, I mean, when you were saying that, what are your thoughts? Because if 30 or 45 days from now, the school district says, hey, thumbs up, we're either going to sell you or do a JUA or whatever else, and we can get some momentum with CIFTOD, and just what's this?
So the project manager has that capability as well as the one that I'm familiar with, at least. It worked with the city of Orlando, Orange County, the airport authority on their kind of master planning and build out. And those type of discussions, they could be a valuable asset with those relationships already in place. So when I'm evaluating not only the project manager, but also on the consultant side for the master planning exercise, they have to be able to have that familiarity, not only with our town, but also the other stakeholders that are part of this whole exercise, to be able to get them in the same room to get that collaboration going. So it's a combination of both the master planning consultant and the project manager guiding the exercise on our behalf, just to make sure it doesn't go off the rails.
So I think the answer to your question is yes, you should be looking now. So, and I'm thinking you want to tie this into the budget, so you have these funds.
So you have one?
budgeted.
Have
Project manager.
yeah, that was the one we met with.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep, but I
Needs to
just,
be
from a
proposed.
CDD, we probably need to go through the formal proposal
To
process.
see who else,
to get a
yeah.
contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like it would make sense to get this all tied into next year's budget, because as I say, I talked with bond counsel and, up to 20% of the bond cost is reimbursable for the engineering and planning costs. But in the event it doesn't go forward, you want to make sure you've got this budget and it's, and there's been public notice, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so what I think I'm hearing then is, number one, do we need a motion on having Dave work with staff to put together a statement of work for the next 30 days to be able to put out the project management piece? And then number two, do we want to have a discussion tonight on down select on the ones that are here, not signing a contract?
Yeah, it's not contractual, but I think we have enough information to select who
To
we want.
choose.
Yeah, to choose who we want to go forward with the master planning process.
Can we do we need 30 days to do a project management scope? Because the goal is for your next meeting is to have proposals, right? Or no?
By
Ideally.
April, I'd say, or by April at least.
Well, let me help this piece of it. Given the pace that we're moving both with SIPTOD and the school district, I don't think we're gonna come into the March meeting saying, aha, everything's fixed, we're ready to go. So if you guys need 60 days, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But however fast you think is appropriate to move, if now's the time to do it, then let's start doing it.
I'll defer. Whatever you need from me, I'll be available.
Yeah, spring break's coming up, so what I thought I could do in a week, probably.
You wanna give people 2 weeks or so to do it too. You
Yeah,
don't
so
wanna
it's gonna take
require-
time to get that right scope of work, and then.
Well, that way we're not rushed going into it as
Yeah.
well. You got time to vet through.
Yeah, I'll have that scope of work and, figures to go out to by next meeting.
Do we have a list of companies?
I do.
Perfect.
And I'll put this out as well. I mean, I think I love the fact, and I appreciate folks from the master planning group coming here and Charles being here as well. I gotta take note that probably the next hour or so, we'll find out who the new CROA board is. Just try to find the thought back.
How many are being replaced?
Four,
Wow.
4 out of
seven.
7?
Wow,
So we may have a
very different.
totally different board. We may have an identical board. We don't know. So I think that giving them 30 or 60 days to get their feet up under them probably wouldn't be a bad thing because listen, they have to play a part of this process. And I realize there's legality, it's gonna be a CDD asset, but CROA has got to be a part of this conversation. So I think the timing of that actually works out well to give them a few months to breathe and absorb. And we'll probably need, I mean, I'll throw it out there, I mean, we probably need another joint workshop in the not too distant future with them to say, hey, here's where we're at with, these, the project manager, everything else that,
I mean,
Yeah, well, that's probably job one when you bring the consultant on board and the project manager. They're the ones that are get us and PRO and master plan group in the same room to say,
Yeah.
right, well, here's the division of labor and how we have to plan this out. Get everyone on the same sheet of music.
Just do a workshop.
Well, meetings, that is supposed
Go to the microphone now.
Does your plan have anything to do with the current town hall?
No.
No,
Because part of our mission is to try to decide what to do with that.
there is,
So-
part of the scope is an evaluation of existing amenities, but only in their functionality is what they do, not their condition. That's what you're talking
Okay, all right, because we have to decide somewhere down, not too far down the road, we're going to get bids
Well,
to fix it.
and let me answer the question a little bit.
probably.
Correct. The appropriate answer is no. I'll put an asterisk next to it and say, part of what we said or what I said in the workshop 8 months ago with Crow, when we first opened up this discussion was, particularly if we're gonna do a community center on that K8 lot, and I would like to see us, if we're gonna do that, this is not really an appropriate building for staff, especially for us, for our location. I would love to see our staff downtown. I would love to see Crow staff in the same building with our staff downtown. So while it may not directly affect 851, I would love to have a conversation about truly having a town hall in the community center. So, again, I threw that idea out to Crow. I got some positive looks, some negative looks, and some, what did you just say looks? So that's a conversation we need to have with Crow over the next 60 days, given where they're at is this may kind of tangentially affect some decision-making they have as well, if we're able to start moving this forward based on what we can do with that school lot.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's critical we work together. If we say fix the town hall, that you guys have a plan on knocking down. Then it's gonna be something.
No, we can't.
As somebody
can't-
uses that town hall for meetings every month, I don't think you want to do anything with it until we get a community center built.
Yes.
But you
And
can't,
Yeah.
exactly. So with CDD financing, we have
you can't.
a limit on private use.
Yeah.
So we can only
Well,
rent for private use to a very small percentage. Like,
Right,
Right.
remember the idea too, that, and again, we talked about the workshop was, if they were, it's basically the same deal we pitched to the school district, if they were to give us that land and whatever that fair market value assessment was, I'll make it the number, say it's worth $1 million for the land. We would then owe them $1 million worth of value of something, rather than paying that out as
They're-
cash.
They're private, they're a private entity, so we would have some tax issues to work through.
Right.
On that one. With the school, it's much easier because they're a
Because they're
government, so we can
right.
work through that, but from the tax exempt funds, it's a little bit different. And that is, I did talk to Ackerman and I told them we'd probably be coming up with more questions because I've been asking them things for free, so I have a feeling we'll be getting a proposal shortly. I suggest that they send it hourly so we can have somebody to ask these questions.
Yeah.
You know, prior to a bond issue.
And that'll be
So-
an important one because I think that's gonna play into the Crowley discussion as to know whether or not, I realize it will add complexity,
Mhm.
but there's a difference between adding complexity and saying, hey,
There's-
we can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's generally like a 5%.
I was gonna say that would still hold, that would still hold true no matter which way
5%
we go.
Private use,
Yeah.
so I don't think we can work with
Mm-mm.
that, but let me see if there's anything with the land or any other way. we can
Yeah.
do it.
So I'm just trying to understand and just brought something up. So if we're looking to build baseball fields and we have everything in the record where we keep pointing to Little League, which is private,
They would
does
have,
that cause us?
they
any
would have to pay
problems?
for use of the fields the same way anybody else would.
Okay,
But I mean, those fields would also be open for community use as well.
right.
Yeah, and
But
if there's another
it's like
baseball league, I mean, they'd have to be able to be offered.
Anybody,
So,
right,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. Sorry, where did that leave us?
Well, next step I guess for this business matter would be
To
to
choose.
evaluate this. I
Yeah.
believe that we wanted to get
Do we,
input.
sorry, before
from-
we did that, do we need a motion on going out to
Proposal
the statement
for-
proposal for the project manager?
for the project.
No, the board directed Dave to work on a draft scope. He'll send me the draft when he's done with it. And then
Okay, is anybody opposed to that?
we have a list of
Yeah.
people that we'll send it out to.
Okay. Okay,
And then I think we were soliciting Infomark for feedback on the proposal as well,
On which proposal?
on the for master plan proposals that we got. Thought I saw Brenda said something, or maybe not. Am I thinking?
Brenda said
You-
something,
you-
yes.
Yeah, no, I suggested a ranking sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody could put their, I mean, if we get to the point where there isn't sort of a unanimous discussion, that folks could do their own ranking and then see who ranks the highest.
You can do that, or you can
Just
vote as a
discuss-
board,
Yeah,
discuss it and vote as a board.
Okay, because I didn't know whether we had also directed you or Infomark to also weigh in on the proposals, or if you were just
Nope.
abstaining.
no,
Abstaining.
Okay.
I mean, I can offer input, but I mean, it's subjective, right? I mean, you don't want to go with the lowest price. You want to go with who's going to serve you and it's do
Number
your,
one, have you guys worked with any four of these companies? Have you worked with any four of these companies before for this kind of work?
yes,
Okay, I wasn't sure if you had.
Yep.
Okay,
I have.
All or none.
3 out of the 4 or 5. There was 5, 4, 3 out of the 4. There's only one that I haven't worked with, but I've heard of them and they're very well known in the industry.
They're all, every one of them.
Yeah,
Well,
they all-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
which three did you work with?
I've worked with Dix Height on a Dovera project. They were redesigning some stuff. I've worked with GAI, obviously. They're the engine.
GA didn't.
Oh, they didn't submit. Yeah, they're the engineer of record for Enterprise currently. Becker was the only one that I have not worked with, but I know of them in the industry.
So you worked with Land Design and RBI?
Mhm.
Without making a recommendation, any negatives that you would caution us on?
No.
No.
Nope,
Okay.
A lot of help.
no. I'm typically not, Jack. That's why I sit in this seat. I'm typically no help.
So I'll tell you what I was focused on, which is understanding familiarity with our community, but not only our community, but also the
Different entities.
the entities in town and kind of the level of service that goes along with the expectation here, along with, how Disney plays into that as well. Mainly from an architectural or look and feel kind of thing. And secondly was experience in this type of endeavor. So how have they done something of this type of scope before? And to kind of drill down into those particular examples to see how applicable it was.
Well, you spent the most time with them, other than both you and Angel both, and Angel told me she's not telling us anymore, so. you want to throw it in?
I will tell you, I agree with the analysis that was provided to you
Okay.
from ZHA. I do agree with that.
Which also wasn't super helpful since they
That's right.
really just, I mean, maybe narrowed it down to two.
Yep.
Any further questions or want any more feedback or input?
I mean, I'm curious, Dave, who you're, again, I think you've been closest to this, not only because you do this professionally, but just because you're running the process for us. And give us your ranking and
Okay,
why you're
so
ranking, who you're ranking.
the fun part is that each one of them brought up something different that would be super valuable in our effort.
Right.
And the good news about that is that it really allows us to, whoever we go forward with, to take the best bits and pieces of each of them and put it all together into, you know, a call to action. So whether it was on the RBI side, which I really was impressed by their analytical side of the data analysis, to be able to take a lot of data on this particular topic and automate it and focus and craft in such a way where it's applicable to us. I really like that kind of technological feel of it. And I also really was impressed with Perry Becker's with like innate ability to run a workshop and a community engagement process. Because if I was to really focus on where we're really going to be able to make the best impact, it's in that community engagement process where we get everybody's kind of buy-in on it through a workshop. So to be able to get that and focus it so that we get a very focused deliverable from that process. It could be very long, like I said before, iterative. Might get a group together and come up with one thing which points to your direction towards something else, and then you have to weave that back in. So Perry Becker had a very long list of successful iterations of that type of process where they were able to go in and do that engagement and host a workshop where they got tangible results.
Not to dumb it down, but if we go on an assumption for a minute that the folks from the master plan group were to be a part of that process, as we talked about in the last meeting, and parlay them into that and have them help formulate the questions, write the questions, get the questions out to the community, get the input back from the community analysts. Does that, are you calculating that into your matrix here of? Because the way we initially had them bid this was, all four of them was, hey guys, you're gonna run this process, you're gonna do this independently. Came back and had that conversation last meeting. We've got a group with Crow that may be interested in being a part of the conversation or being a material piece of the process here.
And absolutely. In fact, what I did was alert each of the four companies that, hey, we have a master plan advisory. I gave them their draft charter, I think at the time, gave them all the information that the group had done and links to their meetings, and then also the ability to participate remotely or attend the meeting that guys had last week. And so through that process, they're able to kind of get that introduction to what that initial kind of community outreach was, and understand, because that was part of the revised scope we put forward to all four of them to say, hey, we've got these ongoing projects that have to be part of your research up front to understand what some of the prior studies and other events that took place and planning, but also the ability to look last week on how they went about who was on the group and how they went about introducing themselves and going through that process of getting everybody to provide their input. So that's already done, and that's information they can take to move forward and planning out next steps. So yes, it's definitely already something that's integral, so that it's not a separate effort at all. It's all be part of the same thing. Which brings me to my third point, which is from the Dix Hike Group. They have what I'm going to phrase as an all-star team of people that are not only familiar with how things look, feel, and operate here in town, and at the beginning, the foundation of this town, but also up to date on the most kind of representative communities to us, because Celebration spawned a lot
lookalikes.
yeah, some other communities that actually improved a lot on what was started here. So they can bring to bear a lot of those improvements and, current initiatives that might be something we want to consider implementing here that are proven successes. So, for lack of a better term, I phrase them as an all-star team because they have all of these members in place with different backgrounds and expertise. Also bringing in that architectural component and also bringing in from the engineering perspective, the planning and the GIS and the other tools that are available to help put out the product. And if I was to envision our deliverable at the end, a master plan, it's graphical in nature and it points to each of these parcels. And it says, this is what has to happen here. This is what it's going to function as. This is how much it's going to cost to build, and this is how much it's going to cost to maintain. All right, so but it has to fit, and that's where the architecture layer comes in, because you can't put it somewhere where it's not going to fit in with the rest of the surrounding uses and looks. So I think that was an important feature that they had in their bid too.
But in fairness to the other ones, I know at least in the initial pass, I can't recall in the second pass, we had specifically excluded because I know it was a question from all the bidders when they said, hey, do you want architectural services? And so when we went through the process here over the past couple of weeks, did everybody come through with a common baseline?
Yeah, so the architecture isn't going to be something that we put on the master plan. We're not going to show what it looks like. We're not going to show exactly how big it is. But architects have that programming ability to say, all right, if you tell me you want these three functions here, this is how much room you need. And then they can take those disparate things that are going on and say, all right, do we need one place or two? Do these work together? And so that ability to kind of maximize the use and the just the way that it works together instead of separately. So I think architects are good.
All right, Dave, you've lauded 3 different companies now. You haven't given me any information which one you like best.
Okay, right. And what I did, just so we understand, is I didn't look at the just dollar amount when it comes to these bids, because I know that one way of doing it is going to cost this, and this way is going to cost that. But if we ask them to do all these other things that we expect these guys to do, they're going to come up with this level anyway. So taking that out of consideration, looking at somebody that I feel comfortable moving forward with based on their background, it would be the Dick Site. Since you forced me,
I agree with you.
See, he agrees. He just wanted to pull it out of you.
Yeah, well, I rambled for a little bit first.
Just a little bit. You didn't hit land design though.
I'll tell you, just be upfront about land design, is that they had a person on their team that would have, that I worked with before that retired. And so without it, I mean, not that he's the end all be all, but that was an important part of the historical knowledge of Celebration.
Well,
I was a little bit lost
I was so impressed because all of them are so eminently qualified to do the job, and they're very detailed, and it's very hard to make a decision.
Yeah, well, there was I have to go back, but I highlighted parts of the land design bid too that were not hit by anybody else. What I think was connectivity was the one part, but it was pretty specific on how they would kind of focus on that in the planning process to make sure that it's just not roadways that we're talking about here. There's the trails system and everything else, just to make sure it was accessible by everybody.
I mean, I'll tell you, and I'm kind of rowing in the same direction you are. I mean, with the Dick Site presentation, I like the KPM Franklin piece that they pulled in there as well. I like the presentation of their team, everybody that they brought into the room, and it was, as a layman, I've never done this before. I'm not a land development guy, but it was clear to me what everybody on that team and the value of it, and not to say that it wasn't from the other bidders, but I mean, just the way they presented it to me, it resonated. It's interesting because, I don't want to say I struggle, but the price disparity between these 4 bids, I mean, it's a wide range.
Yeah, but that's like Dave said, the price is going to be so variable, but as we get into the project and really putting the numbers
Mhm.
down,
Well,
it's not, that price is not really a realistic thing.
well, I mean, these are,
I mean, they're proximals.
well, no, those are, and as I asked all four, of them, those are all fixed price numbers. Now, if we end up, to your point, I mean, if we end up saying, hey, we need to do instead of, 3 community engagements, we need to do 5, then yes, they've got the T&M rate table, but these are fixed price numbers on.
Yep, but there might be areas where we look at their line item and say, okay, what really is behind this? What are you doing? And they lay out all of their steps. Like, well, we really don't care what they're doing with volleyball in California. We can cut out that research part of it. We can kind of pare it down to what we feel are the important parts.
Right.
So it's, again, like I said before, that would be hashed out during the contract negotiation, which would be, I think, quite lengthy, just because once we figure out what we've got as far as parcels that we can throw in the mix, then we would also lean on our project manager to say, all right, what is necessary here and what can we kind of pair off to bring the cost down?
Okay. Do you have a motion? Or we need to talk about it more or what?
Any other comments? All right, then I'll move to select Excite as our master plan.
I'll second that.
Who was it? I'm sorry.
Excite.
Excite.
Any other questions, commentary?
You were second, Jack?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is a motion, just to be clear, this is to basically for a down select that you would enter into contract negotiations, but we're not actually signing a contract. So you would, is the anticipation you would bring that back before the board next meeting and say, hey, because compare out some services possibly add. Is that
We are down selecting them as our partner going forward and entering into contract negotiations, and
Yeah, I think we need the project manager before we really get the contract nailed down.
Yeah.
And the parcels.
Okay, well then,
It's
so
not
I
hard
guess
to
that's my
get
question.
parcels, yeah.
It's a process, and I'm fine with.
This is who you're gonna move forward with.
But are we moving forward in contract negotiations right now, or are we just telling them, hey, guys, we need to also get the project manager?
I think you should draft the contract now.
60 days, so I'm trying to figure out.
I think you
next
can do
steps.
contract now.
But if we don't have a scope yet.
Yeah, we're not gonna contract
Project
now,
yet.
but we can at least
Oh,
notify
there's no
them.
scope.
It's a notice to proceed, we'll put it that way, where we can notice them to say, hey, we're selecting you as the partner going forward. We're gonna bring on a project manager to enter into contract negotiations, whatever you're comfortable with, working on right now, you're free to go. But, yeah, at risk because we're not contract.
Yeah, and I'd be careful on the notice, notice of intent for sure, but.
You're right, no, right,
Yeah.
whatever the terminology.
Yeah. You good with that, Jamie?
I'm good with that, yeah.
A notice of intent?
No, just that we're selecting them to be the team and we'll begin contract negotiation. Either when we have a project manager or when the board directs.
Okay.
And if we can
Or
also.
we may not, if we don't get the properties.
Correct.
or whatever,
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and I guess that's my other question, so would part of this motion need to be that it would need to come back to us before we fully execute the contract, because the board needs to be,
Definitely.
okay, and then that's why I was asking, so you guys will negotiate.
Just election, yeah.
You guys will negotiate the contract language, and if you want to distribute that out to everybody at the meeting and say, hey, here's what the draft contract looks like, here's what we tweaked and all that.
Yeah, well, we may even have to talk
Okay.
about the scope here before we get
Yeah.
to final contract.
Yeah.
To make sure everybody's on board.
Okay,
The assembly team.
however you capture that in the motion, Angel, I'm not quite sure.
Brenda will capture it. I just wrote it.
Okay. All right, I got a motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Mr. Jackson. One minute. You have 30 seconds. They can have it.
I should ask for 2 and got 1.
There you go.
I think I heard that maybe the 851 building isn't gonna be in scope. I think that's what I heard. And I would encourage
No.
you to bring the 851 building in scope. You can listen to what happens in the community, what people are thinking about. People are looking for one solution. You got a nice piece of property there. I think one building is gonna be the most efficient thing to do. So I would encourage you to have it in scope, at least go down that road and evaluate it. May end up with 2 little pieces or one big building, one little building, and the repairs at the 851. But bringing the people in from PROA, I think you should really explore the possibilities of a single building. But that's gonna be the best use of land there probably,
It's gonna work out the parking better. You may trash that idea as you get there, but I think to unilaterally not put it into scope at this stage of the process, I think could be a mistake. I can tell you that there's a fair amount of people in the community that talk to me about it, share that opinion. So I think it's something to be on your radar screen.
I think it's gonna be the first topic of discussion when we bring on our team. And in regards to the fact that we want to know what the right answer is and then figure out the steps to get there. They're not engineers to know what condition the building itself is in, so that not, when I say it's not an effector, that is not really part of the scope. It's gonna be, they just know what it is and where it is. But understanding better, once we know what parcels are available as part of this palette that we can put amenities, is to optimize figure out what a community center is, and then use those to program it, to figure out how big it needs to be, and then figure out where it fits. And if it brings in what current functionality of 851 is into a single building, I'm almost biased toward that as a solution.
Good. Well, the condition of the 851 is not something I'm saying to bring into scope, because there's a decision that needs to be made as to whether it comes down or gets repaired. Different people will make that decision. But the 851 in its current configuration is not adequate for the community.
Right.
Even though it was fixed up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everything that didn't leak and everything was done and it's not adequate for the community. It doesn't have capacity.
No.
So just knowing that we know the capacity there means something has to happen beyond just fixing it the way it is. You can start talking about a 2-story in the back of it and all that other stuff, and that's not real efficient either.
And that part of the scope is what we're calling an inventory. They're taking inventory of what we currently have and its functionality.
So I may be misunderstood. It will be brought in as part of the aspect of looking at that.
It's an inventory process. They're gonna take a look at all of it.
How we might actually execute that, to my idea I threw out there, hey, if we were to build a community center right next to it on the K8 lot and then move it, that's still a bond and legal question that we need to hurl at. I agree with you at this point. I would prefer, anything that is wildly out of bounds and just legally can't happen. Okay, let's put that to the side. But short of that, I would like to have everything on the table right now and then start narrowing it down as we get. This whole process here on the charrette will substantially help us narrow down what's going to make sense, but it's also going to be the conversations with the school district, with CIFTOG, to realize, hey, are they really partners on this or are they not? But I'd like to keep that lens as wide as we can.
That'll get you the best option, the most optimal option.
100%.
Is the best way to run the project. Okay, thanks.
I have.
Come on up here.
Some of the thoughts made if you want. With the master plan group,
Can you put your name and?
Yep, Mark Maturo, Library and Celebration, 747 Shannon's Room, architect. And on master planning group. So Pro did ask us to look at the 851 what to do. And so what we've done already, actually did was put together an RFP for them to actually have architects with engineers look at the building and truly assess it and with the entire scope. So what's happened in the past is outside consultant looking at just stabilizing the exterior. They've never looked at any systems, anything else get a total cost. They gave the information to an estimator who simply put together a number. And Crow was looking at that is that the number to fix the building? It's not at all. This includes all these MEP systems. Everything in that building is simply in line, MEP systems. So what we did was put together an RFP so they can find out what the actual cost is. Have a team come in, look at the building, come up with the correct details, and also review the structural needs. Now, my recommendation to them is to look at the building only for civic functions, period, just for offices. That's it in the main words, to not have any classes or any aspect of the community otherwise using it, just the committees, the functions of the management group, all those things in there, and that's it. So the classes, all that stuff that's in there, move all that out, just add them to the community center that is a community center. Use that simply as a civic building, and that's it. So
I think the timing of that merging in with what we would do with the charrette process is that again, from a joint workshop perspective, now we know what's in the art of possible for us. And we also know what you guys are able to do and if Crow is choosing to keep that building or not and how that parlays into what.
And I don't think, they can't make that decision until they know what the costs are.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to get them to do, is get a real cost. If it ends up being, anywhere over 2 million, it makes 0 sense to ever touch it. Personally, I fully agree with it, all in one building, one line, that's parking lot. But they need to know the real cost for them to make a decision and be informed and then move forward with you guys, knowing what the right decision really is. But I'm not in a big office.
The one thing I want to highlight for all also is the expected timeframe. What was evident from the presentation from all the bidders is that this is not I was guessing a 10-week process. It's not, 6 months. All right, so, and that's from when we actually get the green light to start. And like we said, there's some uncertainty we want to shake out first before we go full bore. So, once we say go, it's 6 months, and then we maybe hope to have a master plan that we can work off of. So this is not an overnight venture.
And one comment, since I'm up here, is I would definitely include the program. So this is something where the plan is to go. Definitely putting together what the program is at the community center, so types of spaces, sizes, all that. So that's what the basis of.
Yeah, from a design
I
architect.
would have that be, it doesn't need design program.
Yeah.
You want to say?
Are you with Dick Site? Sorry.
That's Hannah.
Hannah, okay. Did you want to come up and say anything here? Oh,
Sure.
Just so you know, she's gonna be the on-site manager for us.
Hello, I'm Jenna Blade with Dick's Heights. I would be serving as a project manager for this project moving forward. Had an opportunity to listen to the CROA meeting, the Master Planning Advisory Group, and was really impressed by that and excited by the participation that I've seen at resident level. Looking forward to working and this shared common vision that you have for your. So thank you for awarding us to be your partner.
notice of intent. You haven't awarded yet.
Thank you. Are there any?
No, just wanted them to meet you.
Yeah, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on this one?
Yeah.
All right, proposal for
Radar sign.
solar powered radar sign. The Jack motion.
It is.
Yep, Jack motion on 17.
My feet are frozen.
17.
So if you don't want.
No, you already, yeah, I can ramp up this.
Have a motion on 17.
I just want to point out that everybody left.
Everybody but.
Yeah.
It's you, Mike. It's you, whatever it is.
So do you want to approve another sign?
I would like to approve a sign rather than having to move around signs.
So Jack, is that your
So
motion?
$4,000 is for one sign?
One sign.
Yep.
It's better than moving signs.
They've gone up quite a bit. They don't make the old, I think we have the model 500 now. It's
They
the
don't make
model
those
600,
anymore.
So,
Are we keeping the
Like
other ones?
it.
And this is another one that added the
In
rotation?
You
yeah.
don't have to keep moving them.
We only have one movable one, correct?
No.
No,
I
three
think,
of them.
It's not three of them.
Well, we can move them, but it's
It just depends on if we gotta move it to a light pole or solar.
yeah. I mean, we don't have one on Golf Park now. We cannibalized that and took it over and put it on ours.
You know, I've gotten emails from people on Artisan.
Is there a picture of this thing? Am I?
It's a standard radar sign.
Yeah, this guy's the kind of.
That's flashing light.
It's like what you have down.
Thing that it's not like got wheels on it or anything, right?
It's got a motor on it and everything. It's huge.
Similar
No, it's just a little,
What's on the?
probably what, a 2x2 board, I guess.
Yeah. 2 feet by 2 feet, flashing your speed.
And just the pole. 3-inch pole.
Got a motion on this?
I move to approve it.
Have a second.
Come on, Dave. I gave you Dick's height.
I'm like,
Yeah, I gave you Dick's height. I love that. Negotiation.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
So my question for staff is, so if we've got 3 of them, listen, I've gotten half a dozen emails on us moving the artisan sign from one side of the road to the other.
Which has been,
Some people think you're a hero, some people think you're a zero. So,
Oh, I got a very scathing email
Oh, yes.
about moving these signs
So
based
did I.
off of one resident's request because it was blocking his view.
Mhm.
How dare you? I mean, she was not happy.
as I mentioned, so my question to staff is, I think there's utility on them. I mean, I had it out in Stickley and we had some issues and all of a sudden everybody's not doing 50 miles an hour again, back down to where it should be.
here's the
Do you
thought.
guys think we need?
Jack requested another sign about 4 or 5 meetings ago, so finally got a price. So
I just want to
whether
remind you,
want it or not is up to the board.
just want to remind you some of the speeds we tracked on some of these signs.
They're bad.
73 miles an hour on Golf Park, it's pretty fast.
But are we catching them though?
No,
No, we're not. Nobody's.
but the issue is,
Tickets.
Again, but is more signs the answer? Do we need more after this, if you're still finding fast? Or, what's the end game here?
there's no real answer because people will not obey anything, whether it's police or otherwise. Okay, they don't obey the rules.
And then what's gonna happen, this sign is going, well, cause I thought moving the sign around was actually an advantage because it started highlighting people at particular areas of concern. We not wanna move the sign now, I'm
You know,
confused what strategy.
when you move things around, you sometimes damage things. Okay,
That's for sure.
Have we had problems with that?
Is it?
Russ, are you
no, but I'm
messing
just saying,
up when you move them?
it's just like taking parts off an airplane and put it on another airplane. You break one to fix one, and
Well,
sometimes you don't.
Say the door just blew up or something or what?
No, but I'm just,
So it's like you just take the whole thing. I just, right now, I need somebody to explain to me if these things really work, because I don't think they work and slowing down. I think, like you said, you capture
I think
us.
They
but that's-
show how fast you're
Yeah.
going and they do record people
But-
speeding, whether they
No
slow people
tickets.
down or not.
Right, that's the thing.
When I go down Waterside, my
You speed,
8-year-old
you go
is
down.
like, we're speeding again, Dad. I mean, I get that.
okay, we'll see, somebody's got a conscience.
Yeah.
I think it's a reminder to help people slow down if they don't realize, especially the ones
For
coming into town
some,
over
yeah.
the bridge. Especially they don't live here, and say, oh,
I like it.
35.
Listen,
I think-
say this,
you come up on that one Waterside, every time you do, you see brake lights come up.
Mm.
People do
Yeah.
slow down.
People do, okay, that's what I wanna
But
know.
And that's just me as a
Uh-huh.
guy out there driving on the road.
Well-
Every time I come down Waterside, people are pumping their brakes.
Mm.
The lady who sent me this scathing email,
Mhm.
she said, because I think it was the one we moved from Artisan Park to Stickley or
No, it's right across the street.
right, there you go.
It's a bridge, yeah.
yeah, the bridge.
She
Different direction.
She was very upset, because it was deterring speeders in Artisan Park when it was in 5 feet over versus where it is now. So, I mean,
You're not gonna make it right.
no, but my point is they do deter from what the feedback we've gotten back, they do deter
Okay, that's what I.
somewhat
I
of
just-
speeders.
My only question is, do we have one at the drag strip going to Island Village yet?
And that would be
We have
my,
another one.
But we could have another one.
that would be my, that would be the
Less than
reason I would
10,000
support this is listen, we are opening up with 1,100 new homes in Island Village, Jeff phase 1, and yes, that, you hit it right on the head, that is a drag strip, every time I go out to Island Village. It's not hard to do 50 miles an hour, not think about it.
50.
At least, listen, we know why it's there, the street is
Right.
fine between 2 points, so that was an expensive bridge, but.
And to that end, we are getting an expansion in town, you figure, increasing the size of the town, you figure.
Yeah, so if we can kind of get that to go over there somewhere, a strategic location to. Is your,
Did you have someplace in mind?
You okay, does it
or-
go in front of your house?
I've already got one in front of my house.
Oh.
It's part of my statute.
I got a motion in a second. All those in-
Actually,
Sorry,
I'm gonna amend the motion to get 2 signs.
Oh,
Oh my God.
so you almost had it.
Yeah.
Because I want one celebration
You got
park
greedy.
down, going to Island Village, and you put the other one on Golf Park or someplace like that. Golf
Almost
Park
had it.
doesn't have it.
Almost had it.
Hey, look, I watched some guy pass me the other day. I stopped at the celebration place, our light,
Oh, okay, yeah.
3 cars behind me, this motorcycle flies through the intersection. He's probably doing 6 miles an hour. There's a cop car over there getting ready to, actually 2 getting ready to make a right turns there. Neither one of them looked at this clown who ran the red light with an excessive speed.
And to the point, to Cassandra's point, flashing signs aren't gonna do, that's
Nor flashy for police officer.
apparently.
So. I hope we,
So it's 2 signs.
I hope we buy one, put it on the village.
Right, then we'll come
All
back.
right, I'll go back to 1.
Okay.
He just did that just so we can support the 1, because he figured if he asked
Yeah,
for 2.
he was
These are my
gonna-
action after the 2 minutes.
He's our negotiator. We'll go down.
All right, so 1 sign.
You got a motion and
Yeah.
a second for 1 side. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Jack.
Okay.
Don't ever ask your opinion, Jack. That's all good.
Your next one, proposal for Solitude for the canna plantings. I would ask you to not give them any additional funds right now until they get some of the things that are outstanding done. That's just my recommendation.
Are you suggesting we motion on this to approve it pending you saying go ahead and implement? Or do we just table this whole thing for 30 days and bring it back?
I mean, either way works for me. You do need plantings in certain
Yeah.
ponds, but
Yeah,
I
they
wouldn't
need
give
to.
them the additional work right now if they're not doing the work that
Did
we
you get
need.
any feedback from Tom on this one?
Yeah,
Is that
that,
his second, you were starting to read a second?
no, that's about Esplanade, jamming on the Esplanade.
What was Tom, because he knows the condition better than I would be.
So what we've asked is around a couple of ponds, Mirasol being one, there's a bunch of chunks that are missing plantings. Also along Water Street Canal, there's some plantings that just didn't take or died when it was cold, whatever it was. There's some gaps.
Yeah.
So if we could get additional plantings, but we also talked to Jason when we were there about how did they just didn't take, like what happened to them? And he's like, well, I can look at replacing some on our dime. And then, so he sent over a proposal and I told Tom that, cause he asked what the update
How did we
was.
go from, I'll look at some replacing some on my dime to here's a proposal for $8,000.
Because the ones along the places that need plantings, that there were never any there.
Okay.
Just along Water Street Canal, y'all had plantings put in and some of them just either didn't take or the cold weather killed them. I don't know what we determined, whatever it was.
Landscaping.
Well, the proposal referenced
You
our
think there would be a
diagrams,
warranty,
there's
though.
no diagrams for us to see where it's gonna be planted.
So if you're standing in front of Mirasol on the road, that
Mhm.
bridge, there's a pond on the right side and a pond on the left.
Yeah.
Both of those ponds,
Okay.
like the front halves, not the back. There's some sections there that need some plantings and then filling in some gaps along the Water Street Canal.
And
Is
one of
this-
those ponds is one of the ones that needs to be lowered again, dredged, right?
That is correct.
So why put it in when it's gonna be dredged?
That's my point.
Is this something that we could potentially also ask our landscaper to give us a bid on? If we are, you have made comments before that we're getting feedback that our pond company is possibly overcharging us. We're not very
I
competitive.
did get that from another vendor, just because they looked at our agenda
Mhm.
and they actually sent me proposals and
Mhm.
we're overcharged by about $40,000.
So is this something we could?
Wait, what are we getting overcharged on? You got my attention now.
Cross Creek, I guess, I don't know if they were out here, however it came about, they sent me over proposals and said, hey, for your aeration and stuff, you're being overcharged. I don't know people's profit margin. I don't know any of that. So I'm like, I have no idea. Well, can we send you a proposal? I said, sure. And they
You're talking
did
about the installation, not the maintenance.
installation. Because we were looking, remember, at adding more aeration. Right. And it's about a $40,000 difference. Just under that.
So it's, if you can get something, so number one, because we're not right, even if this was. Even if we had confidence in the number, which I don't think you have confidence that this is a competitive number based on what I just heard.
For
If
the
they were-
canna lilies,
If they were 40% over on aeration, I'm willing to bet they're 40%.
plantings are plantings, that's in line.
Okay.
Plantings are plantings. Most companies are within 50 cents to 75 cents of each other.
Yeah, I don't use the price.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. My thing is, there's work that they need to do, like dredging that pond before we go and give them more money for canna lilies to put in that pond. I think that they need to do some of this work
So it's a competitive
first.
number. We know they'll be able to install it correctly because
Mhm.
it's their expertise,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I don't want to be petty. What I mean by that is just say, well, we're not gonna do this until you get your act together. We want the place to.
Mhm.
So I think this is a defined need.
But I'm also hearing that the timing of this, not just because of the dredging you're saying, is also because of the cold, was killing some of these off.
It is the cold, so even if you approved it, it would be a few months out, but my biggest concern is in Marisol. They need to fix that dredging again before we put in plantings there, but the rest of them, yeah, could be done.
I prefer just to table this until we're ready to actually.
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt you because they do plantings in April and May.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Next
usually
month will be a
April
lot
and May.
better than This month.
Yeah.
It's getting cold.
So this wouldn't even be done.
that is correct. Yeah,
And then there's no hurry.
I prefer we just table this until we're ready.
okay.
By that point, you guys will have made progress on possible other solicitations, and that may
Yeah.
weigh into my thinking of what you do this.
Renewal of street sweeping agreement. This is just his annual renewal. We do it every year. I don't know that you're dissatisfied. There was no price increase. I did verify that. So that's why it's in front of you.
And we do have, because we amended this contract to include all of phase one of Island Village, so this still includes.
And nothing changes.
Okay, but I'm just trying to remember, because when we amended the map, we went through this the last time we did the contract. I want to make sure we actually had all of Island Village, because I don't even think all.
I don't
open-
remember adding
I don't know why
Island
we
Village.
wouldn't Have them in Island Village right now. The trees are so small.
Well, and that's my point, is
Yeah.
this number gonna be
I think we
inclusive of
actually
stuff
took
to phase
the
one?
boulevard off.
Yeah,
Well, that we knew because it wasn't anything
Yeah.
there.
and the trees, it's gonna be a while before.
It's not, Island Village is not near.
Yeah, I never remember us adding Island Village because there was no need to. There's not gonna be a need to for a while.
Where they're going, it ain't Island Village.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
But they've got oak trees like everybody else, and even if it's this tall, it's gonna shed.
They're so small, I mean, it's just, you can't see anything really.
We can ask him for a price to do that, but what you see in front of you is no price change and Island Village is not in it.
I'll move to approve the contract.
We can do an amendment if he
Yeah,
provides
Can we ask,
Island Village.
yeah, for next meeting, can we get a proposal to add Island Village? Can we approve this and then ask for a
An addendum.
addendum?
Yeah.
We can ask for, and I'd also like over the next 30 days while you're getting the addendum, let's also see whether or not we really need, I don't think anybody's paid attention.
We
whether or
don't
not
need
it's not-
I've heard nobody call about the leaves in Island Village.
Put it this way, the trees are about the size of some of the branches that we have. Like
No.
And a lot of them are dying.
At some
But
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
something
true. That's
two,
what they were
three,
saying.
yeah, 4 years and then it'll be like, okay, I'm starting.
Yeah.
And then it'll just get worse every year, obviously.
I got a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Yeah. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, what's gonna come to the meeting today too, and I told him there's no sense in it. So.
So I will ask him just to take and give us a price to add Island Village and then when we need it, we can add it as an addendum to his current contract if it's needed.
And this is, I'm sorry, was this for one more year or was this a multi-year?
No, it's every year y'all have asked for him to come up.
Okay. So we approved it for one, it would be nice if he gave us multi-year pricing.
I can ask him. I can ask.
I mean, we just approved it for a year, but.
Yeah.
But that's fine, okay, I thought we were gonna.
I can ask at the,
'Cause the
he's
first
never
contract, I think we had
provided.
2 or 3 years.
Mm,
When I came on, they had already approved it right before I got on, and I wanna say it was a 3-year agreement already. But that's fine, we approved it for 1 year.
yeah, we did an addendum last year. We added a couple of extra sweeps in there.
Yeah.
So we did do that.
We do that for everybody, it's just every year, we just get a new contract and.
No, most of our.
Most of them are multi-year, like landscaping. I mean, you have a 30-day out no matter whoever it
Yeah.
is. Doesn't matter if they give you a 20-year contract,
But
you
it's
still
nice
have
from a
a,
budgeting perspective,
Uh-huh.
at least as we're going to the
Yeah.
budget.
because
cycle.
they'll hold their pricing.
I like the multi-year also from another perspective, which is at the end of that term, I'd like that to be a trigger for us to bid it back out.
Mhm.
So do what we're comfortable with working with somebody and say, all right, well, after this term, 3 years, 4 years,
So we-
whatever it is.
We just approved it for 1 year. if the board's okay, can you go back and ask him if he would make this a 3-year price? And if you want to bring that back as a motion before the board next month, just
Okay.
to ratify, amend, whatever. that
I
was-
can do that.
was locked in. And then separately, yes, if we get into Island Village, if he wants to, that would be a separate.
Separate
amendment.
addendum. Yeah, of
Correct.
course. Got it.
Okay.
My celebration app. So we have rolled that out. We've gotten an uptick in tickets. We have calls every Friday on it. Right now, this coming Friday will be the 3rd call we've had. There hasn't been much input going on. I know on Croa's side, oh, nobody's here. They have their tech team or something is kind
Not
of,
much input, I'm sorry, not much as far as the community putting in tickets or as far as.
no, as far as on our calls right now, because we
Okay.
haven't really found any major issues to go through. So the tickets, it's working properly. And I guess Crow at their last meeting said their tech committee or whatever is kind of going through it and looking and piecing and stuff like that. But again, we have calls every Friday and we'll continue those calls until we don't need them anymore. But tickets are going in and closing. There's also a report mechanism. So Jacinia will start adding that to a report that's going to be seen in here. Like, and it shows open tickets, closed tickets, how long, like there's a graph that says this one was open for 30 days before it was closed. This one was open for 10 days, so you'll be able to see that.
From our workshop though, we had 2 months ago, you guys are gonna send out some of those reports, the drafts, the templates, what those look like.
Yeah, there's nothing on there to put in. You can't put in false data
Okay,
to create a report. So now there's enough tickets being generated
okay.
to where we
actually push
can,
that out.
we
Okay,
can push out reports now.
Okay.
Because you would have just seen a blank page. Because we can't
I
force
didn't know
data.
if it would at least show
Yeah.
you a
Mm-mm.
template of what, okay.
No, because it just would, you can't manipulate the data. It's what's into the system, which I like because
Got it.
it's what's actually in there, what's been generated, what's been closed, and we can't even manipulate it. So let's say Russ failed to get something taken care of in
You can't
10
go to
days.
Russ.
We can't even go in and manually change it because it's in the system and it's going to show this ticket took 30 days to close when our deadline is 10.
Right.
So it's really going to show you part of our evaluation. I think this could be part of it as well because it's going to show you exactly.
So do you expect by next meeting, we would start having
Oh, yeah.
that report? Okay.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Now we have enough tickets in there. It won't be huge starting out, but
At least we see what it looks
you'll
like.
start seeing it and there'll be upticks I'm assuming every month as people are starting to download it.
So question on behalf of my neighbor, right, and I didn't know the right answer to this,
Mhm.
which is if they notice an emergency, now, I'm not talking 911 emergency. Talking a
Broken pipe.
tree fell down over the road or a burst pipe.
Right.
They need to
or-
call. Don't put
Okay.
it in the app.
Very good. That's what she said. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not apping this, I'm calling. So. she
That's right.
called Proa, unfortunately,
Oh.
who then forwarded over to somebody who was in a call center. So I don't know how that happened, whether that was Croa sending to the wrong person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I think somebody's in the office, but I'm in Arizona or whatever wherever they were. So now I'll give them a message kind of thing. So does that sound right?
No.
Doesn't
No.
sound right at all.
No. So I will tell you, we do have a call center, but it's strictly for HOAs. CDD, we don't have a call center for district stuff. His number's in emergency contact.
Well, Sonny's on the phone. Do you have the answer?
That's an answering
Okay.
service, but we don't have a call
You
center
get it after hours forward.
Yeah.
and we get it
It was
instantly.
at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'm like, was this
Oh.
weekend or whatever?
That could have been an answering service.
Could have been the answering service, like if she called the office and say Jacinia was on the phone, it would roll to an answering service. But when that happens,
Yeah, I get it.
he gets an immediate call or text, and so do I, that
Got it.
says,
Well, this.
so-and-so called, they need you to call them.
This particular one was the pothole at the alley on Spring Park Loop that was fixed like the next day. So somebody figured it out.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, no,
I
don't.
didn't know what, so I was right to say you call for an emergency.
Mm-hmm,
and
Yeah.
Something that wants immediate, and it's this number.
yep, that is correct.
And what I'm getting at is we need to have on the app somewhere.
We can do that.
On the homepage.
It is on the homepage as far as numbers. All of us have numbers, but
Yeah, I know,
maybe.
it's on the-
Weekend, it's
Yeah.
this number. here.
Yeah, it's on the weekend, it's this number or his number.
But I think not just on the webpage, but I think that to Dave's point, putting it on the app, so somebody's going in there.
It is on the app, that's what I'm
It's on the
saying.
app.
Okay.
But I think
Sort of,
what
yeah.
we can do to make his point is maybe emergency, see, it says emergency contacts and you click that and it has all the list of emergency contacts. Osceola, CDD, ECD, it has all the numbers on there.
Okay.
To report an
It
emergency.
is.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's good.
We can't put, I mean, you can put on a list, you know, if a burst pipe, call this, but we don't know if it's a CDD burst pipe or a crow, you know what I mean, is.
and the
there's
good
gonna be some
thing,
degree of-
the good thing about like burst pipes and stuff, even if they were to hit ECDD or CDD, it's still coming to me.
Yeah, but
because
even if
I
they-
manage- yeah.
And that's just gonna have to be.
Earl might
Yeah.
have screwed this one up, but yeah, all right.
But the emergency numbers on there, I mean, fire department, all of it, and ECDD and CDD. The emergency numbers are on there. And like I said, we get them instantly via text and it tells us who submitted, what they submitted, they want to call back or just take care of the problem. We get those instantly. So,
We don't, my question is, I did not see, and maybe I missed it, I thought we had talked about putting something up on our front page of our website of. Here's our new app, click here for the Apple Store, blah, blah, blah. I didn't. do
There-
that on our
it's
webpage.
on there.
It's on there. I mean, there's no announcement. If that's.
No. Yeah.
I was looking to kind of highlight something up on the front of our page, so we're not, some of the stuff on our webpage gets buried.
So what you have currently is when you go onto the webpage, in the right-hand top corner, it says report a problem, and it's the same. You hit that and it virtually goes to your app, is what it looks like.
What I'm getting at is kind of what Dave was saying, if we can highlight a section on our webpage.
Yeah, we can put it on the
Hey,
homepage.
we-
It's like, hey, residents, announcement,
We've,
and list it.
we've got a new app, Cell Service is dying.
We can do
My
that.
Celebration is up.
Yep.
Please click here if you got an Apple, please click here if you got an Android. that-
Yeah, and then you can, to your point though, Angela, you can just do a screenshot of the homepage, do a big old circle over the report problem.
Yeah.
Click here.
Yeah, we'll do something. We can just send it over. It takes 2 seconds. I'll send it over to Campus Suite and they throw it up there. And I'll take one of what we posted on Facebook,
Yeah.
the phone and the Google, Apple and whatever,
Yeah, and it has the QR
Mhm.
code.
and the QR code. I can put that up there for sure.
And that was gonna be my other comment, is if we can start whatever messaging we wanna put out. I know when we first did the Facebook page, it was, hey, you know, meet Russ, here's a picture of Russ. Can we start doing some of the push notifications, so people are seeing things coming out of there, because it's intended to not just be the trouble taking piece. It's also intended to be the communication piece, so, I mean. if-
Oh, from my,
Celebration,
yeah,
yeah.
push notice it, sure.
You know, if we can put something out so people start getting used to the fact that they're gonna see notifications coming out of this for whatever.
Okay. So push notifications through app. And then on the homepage of the website. Okay, I can get that done this week.
What else you got?
That's all I had was the celebration, and then obviously the things we talked about, incorporation. We'll include Dave on those calls. We'll try and get something scheduled with at least outside counsel. And Joe, even if Jan and I's schedules don't match up, we'll try and get them, either one of them, to commit. And really, it's not outside counsel. They're providing dates.
It's Joe.
It's Joe that doesn't have the availability.
How much money do we still owe him?
We don't owe him anything. He's billed for his time.
That's the
He's been
problem.
paid up to,
That's the problem.
he's been paid up to date for what he's done.
But he was fixed price for the entire thing was like 40 grand. If we paid the entire 40 grand, or is he still got something left to bill us?
We didn't.
I'll have to look. Yeah.
I don't think it's even that much.
It wasn't, you didn't exhaust the whole 40,000, I can tell you that
Right.
at all, but he's also not done with the process either.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
he
it's
may
also
be,
got a short circuit. Yes, but, all right.
yeah.
Try to
So
push
we'll get that done, and then include Dave and then my celebration app. And,
While you're doing the website edits, the other thing, and again, I thought we talked about it, but maybe not, when we did the resolution 6 or 8 months ago on trees.
Mhm.
If we could, and gentlemen brought it up specifically in Ohio Village, but I know there's still confusion in the community. If we can put, it's gonna put the resolution up on the webpage so that everybody can read exactly what the legalese is. But if we can get a one-page tree maintenance for dummies, here's what the resolution says. Because most people aren't gonna sit here and go through a 3-page resolution and believe it. If we can get a dumbed-down version of the one page that we can post up on our website, if homeowners are responsible for maintenance, CDD does it over the public areas, you're responsible for doing it by your house. Something as a one-page cheat sheet or something to put up on there, because there's still, I'm fielding questions on a somewhat regular basis from folks of, I didn't know what was what, and nobody wants to read through. No offense to Jan, nobody wants to read.
Well, I don't think it's not only they don't want to read it, but it's been done one way for so long and now we've changed it. And I think that's gonna be the biggest,
Still think
you know,
just a digestible way for that to percolate through the community.
tree maintenance cheat sheet on website.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe that can be a push notification that I send out through my celebration.
at
app.
you.
Mm.
Outstanding.
Water your tree.
Yeah. Take care of your tree.
Any other questions for Angel?
I do, but I'll let everybody else go first.
We'll go alphabetically starting with D.
So if we get an engineer inspection of our roof.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I talked to Greg about it before and I meant
Speaking
to.
of the roof,
Hmm?
if we didn't air out this whole building today and just said and put air fresheners and stuff, and honestly, God, we wouldn't have had a meeting.
So
That's how
two
bad
things, but
No.
we don't know, if that's the roof. Because,
It hasn't rained in.
It has-
Rained Friday.
but it wasn't a heavy rain
Oh, yes,
Not like
it was.
before.
Yeah.
Friday night was a heavy rain.
Friday night. Well, we didn't see any leaks. So, but here's my other thing is we don't know if it was the roof or not. The one engineer, you guys, we looked at 3. 2 said automatically they could not come, they just were too busy. The last one that was gonna come, they can't come, they're backed up. So I've reached out to 3 other roofing engineers. And I'm hoping to have an answer back by Friday. I'm gonna follow up with phone calls. The goal is to 2 parts, have them come, look at the roof. Number 1, is it a bad design? Number 2, have the repairs that have been made, were they made accurately? We've had mold treatment done in here with the dormers. I haven't seen any major leaks anymore since the last round that we had and they came out. Have y'all seen any more?
Wasn't here last time it rained, it was at nighttime.
Okay, but we didn't find any the Monday or anything.
But we need the
So-
engineer to assess whether or not the
Correct.
repairs that were done, because I'm sure there's a ticking clock of reasonableness here. that-
Yeah, I think yeah.
And they've come out
I know, I
Yeah.
do, I just looked
Yeah.
to see if. there's-
and they've come out every time. Ardenco.
Exactly. So we need to
Yeah.
find out
Yeah.
were the repairs done, if so,
You're right.
we're done, or if not, how do we fix it?
I don't know. I have a feeling it's those dormers. I think it's just a bad design.
Well, and your commentary beforehand, the stinkiness of the building.
Yeah,
I'm having trouble associating that with raining, and I get the.
listen, we've come in this building before and this conference room has smelled musty and moldy for sure, 100%. But this smell was not that. It was more like they told me, like, yeah, it smelled like.
Not a dead rat or anything?
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, they looked everywhere. There was no dead animals. They checked the bathroom drains to see maybe if something came up. It wasn't that. They even poured bleach down the drains. Wasn't that all the time. They checked this lift station to see if something was backing up. Nothing. So I don't necessarily know that it is a roof thing, but there was, and they went and bought, or not bought, rented a de-ozone machine. That's what got it out, and we still have it. So when Russ and I leave tonight, we're going to turn it on again, and then Enterprise is going to actually buy one to keep here.
Can I recommend you not turn it on to see whether or not it actually comes back again, or if it's something that just. Pick up, again, you guys have to work in this.
I was gonna say, I mean,
I'll go with Eddie.
yeah. We can do that, but it was really bad. They had to open up all the doors today. It was,
Well,
it was
I wanna
really
know whether or not
bad.
It's really was it just a one-time thing that happened, or?
Yeah.
Never smelled that before.
No, not,
Not that.
they said not that smell,
But
but moldy and musty, that's
To
definitely.
categorize the smells you have in this building is concerning.
the girls just about
Gotcha.
She told me it was like someone just took a massive bleh.
So let's break this apart. So number one, do you feel, because we approved you, I want to say it was like 10 or 20,000 for the roofing.
15,000.
Okay, do you feel that that's still an adequate number?
I believe so,
Okay,
yes.
so we don't need to change that.
Nope.
Okay,
I just got to get someone to physically come out and do it.
okay. Dave, you got any?
And if anybody has any roofing engineers, please send them to me. I'm happy to reach out to them as well.
Okay. That's thing number one. Thing number two, do we need something? I don't even know what to do with the smell piece, if that's tied into the roof or not. I mean, you just gonna.
We don't know. Carrie mentioned something. It could, the carpet holding smell, the carpet throughout the whole thing probably should be replaced at some point. But I think we've had it steam cleaned several times over the years, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, the carpet's not gonna go from
I don't
smelling
know.
great to making you
The
want
death.
to puke.
No, no, no.
4
I
hours.
don't think he was saying that, and I don't think he was saying that that was the originator of the smell, but it's definitely, it holds smells is what his point was. So,
Do you have an idea? Dave?
I was thinking the air conditioning, anything in the air conditioning vents and stuff.
Have you had the ducts cleaned or anything?
we had the
They did
ducts and
change
vents
the
cleaned not too
filters.
long ago.
Right.
So you've done all that.
Yeah, we had the vents cleaned. This room where the dormers are have been treated for mold. The last go around that we did.
Well, I guess at this point, just to, I mean, we can guess for board awareness. we
Okay,
may-
you can't. I
I
mean,
may get a phone call from staff here in the next couple days. It says, oh my God, it's back. And we found it was, we may be spending money quickly to address it because I can't have it throwing up. when
yeah.
they're working.
They were texting. I was on my drive here and my phone was blowing up. This is terrible. You're never gonna be able to sit in here.
All right, good night.
Jack says he's done.
We're not done yet.
Okay.
Sorry, Jack.
Built now.
Jack's going over to run for Crow. He's got 20 minutes left.
Early golf game tomorrow.
Not play later, play this morning.
Are you seriously on the Croa ballot?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say good luck.
All right, see y'all.
Thanks, Jack.
And what else did you have, David, besides the roof?
All right, I'm sending you a engineering, did ECS, was that on your? All right,
Nope.
here's another engineer.
Okay.
He owes me a golf game, by the way, bring that up.
Oh, I will.
Next up is, are we doing anything with the second floor since we're on the building?
Yes, we are cleaning it out on a Friday. I talked to Carrie Satterwhite. We're just gonna have our whole team, like on a Friday, go up and clean it out upstairs, talk to Russ about it too. And then Danny Bumpus wants to take one more look at it. He actually has a proposal ready.
From a vendor to come in and.
Yeah, a scope,
Okay.
what you asked him to do, put together a scope. He wants to look at it one more time. He wants to come look at it this week or next week.
That like 5 months ago.
Mhm.
What had happened?
He was been putting the scope together. Apparently it's more intense than what I thought.
Okay. All right.
Does that mean your digitization is done then for all the stuff out there?
The only thing up there to do are the maps.
That was where we were at a month ago.
Yep.
How much more we got with the maps?
She's sending someone down probably in the next week or so, because it's not, you can't just scan
I know
them.
they're bigger.
Yeah, they're actually, and some of them are kind of brittle, so we have to be very careful with them. So they're sending.
Question when some of those just break. Are they uber crucial that, oh my God, the district just fell apart because we lost these maps or?
No, I don't think so, but we want to try and keep them.
For sure.
They're-
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're not like you pick them up and it's gonna be dust, but we want to be careful with some of them. But other than that, and they're sending someone down from Coral Springs
Okay.
with the machine to digitize them. And then
Okay.
once that happens, I mean, do we want to keep the hard copies maybe in your office or?
Keep the hard.
Well, a lot of that stuff I wanna go through, I categorize like villages and stuff. but
Yeah.
A lot of it, we've obviously got 2 and 3 copies of the same thing,
Yeah,
so we can look.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll see for, saving old things like that for, I would say museum, for lack of a better term, but.
If there's some
Historical
original
purposes,
incorporation,
yeah.
yeah, if you guys
Yeah.
find something like that, absolutely. Let's keep.
oh yeah, we'll definitely keep that. 98% of what's up there are old utility bills. That's what's up there. Besides some storage of some things here and there, and then maps. That's really all that's up there.
But Jan, are you okay on just from a records retention piece of
Yeah,
what we need
yeah,
to keep
that
hard
stuff.
copies versus what we can just shred? I prefer
No.
not keeping anything we don't need to keep.
No, we don't have to keep anything, I mean, other than,
If it's
I
digital,
mean, if we have original bond books, we should keep them, but.
And we have all those in
Yeah.
here in the office
Yeah,
on the
that's-
bookshelves.
Okay.
All the bond books are down here.
When everything's digitized, good, I mean, I don't think I can dream of a reason why I would need to access it, but is that something that's accessible for us?
Oh, yes, and what we're gonna do is, we haven't decided, we use SharePoint, but I can also do a Dropbox to where you all could have a link to that to kind of look at for any files you want.
maybe that's one meeting we talked about a
Yeah,
couple months ago, of whether or not we looked at SharePoint or something else, and I agree with you. I mean, I think from a board perspective, hey, having current contracts, having some, policies and stuff like that, I think would be useful for us. Having 20 years of bills, I'm glad it's on SharePoint somewhere, they can keep it on SharePoint somewhere, but I would like to have I'll say a board-facing portal. They're all public documents, so if anybody wants them, they can get them anyway. But
well, if you want to look at invoices, you have access to Avid, all of
Right.
you.
I think the standard
Mhm.
stuff we would expect as a board to be able to see would be nice,
Yeah.
but if we had a SharePoint access point.
So we can do SharePoint, we can do Dropbox, I think there's another Google Drive or
Yeah,
something.
SharePoint works pretty well for.
Well, I like
access for
SharePoint.
resolutions and.
Well, and
basic-
especially that we're already on a Microsoft platform that we switched over
Mhm.
and all that, and just security and all that. Unless there's a reason not to, I think for that.
So what they're doing now, because, and again, Greg brought this up, is there a platform that you all, whether you want to or not, doesn't matter, but it'll be there for you to access. And so what they're doing now is compiling everything into like folders. So it's not just this
Giant dump.
blah
Yeah, it
that
should
you're
be
going
organized
into.
with naming conventions.
Right. Because we can't let you into our main thing because it's every district and you'd have to kind of sort through it. So what they're doing is taking copies of everything that was digitized and all the files we already currently have
Mm.
and putting them in a nice organized folders for you guys. So then all you have to do is kind of click on the SharePoint and then you can find whatever you want.
If you guys are okay, I can take the next month or two as we're finishing that up and kind of work with staff and figure out what's there and what we think the board would want to see.
Yeah.
Maybe pull a list together, see what
We have an agreement list already and it goes back since inception. Some of those agreements, obviously, you're not even in anymore, but we have record of those agreements. We have resolution lists. So those things are easy. You could actually click on that and look and see what resolution you want and then go directly to that page to find that resolution. So a lot of that's easy. It's just putting it in folders. So it's not a big blah that you're looking at.
That'd be great. Again, if I ever use it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. You never know.
I mean, even the history of
It
the board
saves-
minutes from meetings and stuff, I would like to
Yep.
have there just as
Well,
reference.
it saves time for us if we can just go in and pull resolutions.
Yeah.
We don't have to bug you guys.
I could not find, I know that I've subscribed to our YouTube channel for recordings of these meetings, but there's. I
Got
couldn't
like two of
find,
them up there.
yeah, all two of them. So I'm glad that was working out. But there's nothing on the website that points to that. I could find.
When we can't have it on the website because it's not ADA compliant. Anything that our website points to,
Oh, even.
It
just
holds-
links to-
it holds us liable.
The YouTube channel should be ADA compliant. There was a thing in there for the closed captioning. You got the little button on there, you can click it, it'll.
Right, but when we talked about doing YouTube, it was like, yeah, you can do it, but we don't want to be responsible for it. So we just put up the videos and then that way, if the closed captioning goes off or something like that, we're not held responsible for it. But Jasenia, we can definitely turn it on.
That
But-
piece we can put to the side, but we gotta get, I mean, we've only had videos through. like,
Well, your
September.
last meeting, the video didn't work.
But the audio, did we get audio recorded?
The audio, we don't, I mean, I'm not putting audio up there. You want audio up there?
I won't put the meetings up there.
We did send it to her to upload. I don't know if it's on there, but I
Oh.
did do that audio.
Okay, I mean, we keep audio. I was only sending the video over
So
there.
the one we had the presentation.
That was an audio only.
Yeah.
That one I thought was important to have up there, even though the video's not.
Yeah, and we have that audio if somebody wanted to request it, but we can put that up.
And I say this because if
Mm-hmm.
we start to get more and more momentum behind bond and community center, people are gonna wanna be able to see this stuff. I mean. The longer meetings are. people want to see stuff.
So you want video and or audio, it doesn't matter on
Well, I
YouTube.
prefer it's video, I mean.
Right, but if
I'm-
for whatever reason,
It's enough, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Can do that.
and also we talked, and I know I sent a note, but I'll put it up formally here. Can we please get quotes on something other than that camera?
I'm already doing it.
Okay.
Yep.
Just so after the last meeting when everything crapped out, and we didn't have video, I asked staff to get some quotes on
It's not even your system. It's the internet in this building.
Yeah, it wasn't the camera.
It's not a hardware issue?
Hmm?
It's not a hardware issue?
No,
Well,
it's an internet issue. This building is terrible.
The building or internet's terrible?
Internet in this building. We've called them. There's nothing. They've put in boosters too.
You can have a web, or what do they call it, Nest system or something?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quote when
Mesh.
Ken and I'll come out here and do that.
That's fine. Cause I tell you what, if I have to make a phone call or something, I've got to go outside. Because it'll cut out. Carrie can't even answer a phone or he gets kicked off the internet in his office.
So let's do, somebody's gonna crack their skull. from all
Oh,
this
for
too.
sure.
And the fact that we can't, I mean, we did a Polycom and everybody's huddling around like we're over the campfire. So if we can get an audio visual quote, I'm not looking for $100,000
No,
gigantic VTC, but something that's a nice camera that's not sitting in a pedestal and we get the back of people's heads.
like, do you want something like to be mounted?
If you can, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the ceiling
Okay.
one where they got the cameras up there, whatever, I mean, those aren't crazy expensive.
Okay,
You can get them for
I think
decent
it's a good
price.
idea.
Yeah,
all right.
and get something with an integrated audio system. I mean, you can get some of the ceiling mics. I mean, it'd be great not to have to worry about Russ, whether or not you replace my double.
Okay, then
cabinets.
I retract my statement. That is not what I'm working on.
Okay.
I was doing something totally different, just kind of a base thing, but
Okay.
okay.
Well,
So mounted audio visual.
That's just my comment. I mean, is everybody good with that?
Yeah, completely. I mean, when I hear that and actually, I do have trouble with Wi-Fi, now to bring it up. So.
It's
if we
a
get
Wi-Fi.
to work and just get a fixed mounted camera that we can just put it there and forget.
Well,
I'm just sending a calling the company out again to see what they can do. They even went upstairs, they dropped lines, put boosters. It's just,
This is
it's
an AV
terrible.
Is it an AV company?
I don't know. I'd have to look up what
The kid
you
from
would
Best
call
Buy can come out and do Wi-Fi. Okay, we need to do what better Wi-Fi.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else you got?
All right, since we brought up budget coming up, my note was, do we need to budget for legal vehicles in lieu of our mules? So. Is this a budget discussion, punt to later, or we figured out what we're doing with our?
If you're wanting street legal, then yes,
Yeah.
that needs to be budgeted for new vehicles. Yes.
Because that had come up that the only thing I think I've heard that would be legally compliant and come close to meeting what they need is basically what Crow's got.
So ditch what we got and replace it.
And we can, I guess we.
You can
keep-
sell those.
Well, and you can keep,
Yeah.
you can keep one or two of them, but again, it's for the limited purpose where they're not driving on the street where they have to be trailing somewhere.
We'll do.
Just remember too, like, United, they've got some that do 40+ miles an hour.
Yep.
I can't wrap my mind around street legal being, they don't have license plates.
Mm-mm.
So are they street legal?
They can't be.
Okay,
I'm
so
not a cop and I'm
the
not a lawyer.
only thing I think you can get
Wait, I was-
street legal at the moment is electric vehicles.
Whatever.
They have everything outfitted on them to be able to be driven on the street. You know, brake
Yeah,
lights,
you can have
horns,
street legal
mirrors. They don't have to have a
golf carts.
license plate. The problem is the kits to go on them. I think those were what, $25,000-$30,000, the ones that United got
They're like 25 grand.
Yeah, a piece is what they got.
20-25.
And they are street legal.
A little Ranger pickup, probably about the same.
You gotta remember, we use these things on boardwalks. And if
Yep.
we gotta get something, theirs are bigger than won't even go on.
And
half.
that's why I say,
Yeah.
we can have a separate discussion whether or not to sell off some or all the ones we got, including the
Sidewalk
lead center,
repairs,
but.
grinding.
But for
Yeah.
to the extent you guys are driving around the roads, I don't think it's smart for us to be,
Yeah, not have at least a street legal.
yeah. Yeah, so yes, that's.
28 years.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Never had a problem.
Mm-mm.
Did we wrap up our Duke 6% renewal?
No, we're waiting. You're getting ahead of my stuff.
Oh, is that?
That's okay.
You're right.
Getting- yeah,
You're right. I got
getting-
the wrong column.
Not your agenda.
But I do want to finish with Dave, the budget. I'm
Yep.
gonna be sending out the workbook, the new workbook that we're gonna be using. I'm gonna send it out to everyone, whether you want to play with it or not, you don't have to, but I want to make sure all of you have it. I'm gonna put numbers, just preliminary numbers
Yeah.
on the 25th, on the 25 column.
But I don't want an 88% budget raise discussion that we had 2 years ago because you put numbers in. How do we, can you please mark, no, last time we did this, somebody
got
took the
out.
budget.
It's not going out to the public. I'm
But it
saying,
wasn't intended to go out to the public last time. and all.
I'm
So
sending
still
it-
Hearing that we did an 88% raise.
well, that's just inaccurate and somebody making up shit, but, to you all,
Just stamp the thing, this is. not
draft,
real-
I
not-
can put
I'll
draft,
put
what
just
do you
put
want?
Not real numbers or something.
Well, I am gonna put in preliminary numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
I am gonna do that. I'm gonna put in all your
Yeah.
contracts. I'm gonna put in everything. My point was, I'm gonna send it to all of you. So you, if you want, can start messing with it. There's also on the assessment tab, there's this box. And you can put whatever you want and say, Dave's like, well, what's it gonna look like if we increase the budget 500,000? You can put it in there and it'll tell you what the assessments are gonna be. What it would raise, it would 10% increase. So you're gonna be able to do that and see it
We can
on
play with
there.
that on our own.
Yeah, you can play with it on your own. But when I send it to you, I am gonna have preliminary numbers in there based on your contract, any increases, trends of spending and all of that. I'm gonna have that in there for you guys to start looking at and going, well, no, Angel, we don't want to budget $1 million for sidewalks. Right? And I'll have my notes off to the side of where I came up with that number and how I came to that number. And then it'll be a starting point for us to talk about.
And you want now, sooner rather than later, any capital project ideas to the point of whether or not we want to do street legal vehicles and other stuff.
That is correct, because we have that section now, remember, we did last year where annual,
What is
I
your,
think, what do we call it? Annual capital projects, like painting of the street lights, that kind of stuff.
what do you want to say is your cutoff of when the good idea there is?
Well, our first budget workshop is
Next week.
in March.
Next week.
And that's just basically us going over the template, kind of, brainstorming. If you want to come, I think that may be too early for some to come with their projects. But I would say
Really a second workshop.
by the second workshop, that's when we're really going to be putting numbers in and really kind of
But I would say earlier than better, because if
Yeah,
any of them
course.
need time for you to,
research and
Yes.
make sure we get
Of
correct
course.
numbers and
Yep.
me, Russ and Carrie, and if we need Mark, if anything includes anybody, we can sit down and put like real numbers to it.
Okay.
But yeah, your second workshop, that's where we're really gonna be digging into the numbers. This first one's gonna be like, here's the workbook.
Yeah.
Here's what we're talking about. Are we looking for an increase this year? Are we absolutely not, no matter what, looking at an increase? Just those types of things.
And also.
I see
how you-
Dave's head just
How you
going.
wanna, categorize in the pre-development costs for the community center,
Correct.
whether you're making.
So-
So that's a great
Subcategory of
point.
capital expenses with the
how
hope
much are
to
you
be
gonna be able to
reimbursed.
figure out what we can and can't do? Because I know you and I've had some
Yeah.
side conversations on.
20% of the bond amount, the net proceeds of the bond
Oh, well,
Can go to what? I'm sorry.
can
Soft
be
cost.
soft
That's
costs,
it.
pre-development, before you break ground or acquisition.
that's a healthy number.
Okay, so that would include, just so I'm clear, that would include
Engineering planning.
engineering,
yes.
the consultant that we're talking about, the project manager, legal fees.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Anything having to do with that project.
yeah, we'll set up a separate sub-file to be billed separately.
Mhm.
We're getting, as soon as we start doing anything that's
Okay,
agent.
but that would also start capturing Mark's costs and anytime you're going against it. as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep a whole separate running tally of everything, cost incurred for that specific project.
Okay.
The other thing to think about that I'm gonna be bringing up at the budget workshop are two things.
Right.
One is sidewalks. We are currently doing a full inspection of the entire community.
Oh, boy.
You know how you have some sidewalks that may not be a trip hazard, but they're like that big hump where they've been ground, but there's tree roots and everything, so they're just a hump.
Mhm.
Well, they are, I busted my butt.
Oh,
But anyways,
We know a good word.
a couple of things that to think about is what it's gonna cost if we had a company come in and do all your sidewalks, all at one time, be done with it. Because if you remember, we did the analysis last year or the year before, where if we were to do all the sidewalks that need to be done, it would take us about what, 4 years, I think we said?
Well, we had this exact
Yeah.
conversation last year and it
Mhm.
was, we're trying to catch up and we got other stuff and all that, but
So
this is the third year I know we've had this conversation.
It's just, it's
Yeah.
never going to be caught up with the staff that you have unless I mean, even if I came to you and said, in order for us to do these sidewalks, we have to hire 30 more people. It's still not going to be
Well,
done.
Then we
in-
get close and then guess what happens? The hurricane. and all this other
Correct. So we're gonna lay it out for you, what it looks like. If you had one company come in, I mean, I don't know, it's $500,000.
Yeah,
Okay,
prices for North Village alone.
yeah,
Yeah,
So-
But there's economies of scale is what you get.
Yeah.
exactly. And then you have your staff. Now they can keep up with it as these one-offs come, because I will tell you what, the uptick, and Jan can, without going into detail, we've had an uptick in
Yeah, just another lawsuit,
Mhm.
just.
another
last
one.
week, yeah. I
And
mean, we just actually went to the insurance companies tally, how many are outstanding, what's
Yep.
assigned to council.
And we've
But they're
settled,
not all frivolous, but they're not all. There's a mixture of them, or, but most of the time you say, oh, no, this is.
Yeah, most of them
Mm.
are passing motions to dismiss, or if they're dismissed, they come back.
Mhm. And we've settled
Yeah,
a handful
yeah.
as well for a good amount of money. And y'all aren't the only district. I mean, this is happening everywhere across the
Mhm.
state. It's not, more and more you're seeing this.
Well, if
So
you're talking sidewalks, do we have the same issue with boardwalks?
we have not had one boardwalk issue or claim filed since I've been here. We have not. All of the ones we've had have been sidewalk. One was, she was running and ran into a placard in the road
Yeah.
because there's a big orange placard and she couldn't see it, I guess.
That was not
Um,
at all.
One was an umbrella. I think they pulled it to close it too hard and it hit her. And one was leaned too far back in a chair and flipped over. But the rest were sidewalks.
Was I supposed to sue you when I did that?
Yeah.
Ah, shit,
Yeah.
Man, I never get.
You missed your opportunity.
But yeah,
So,
the sidewalks are huge.
yeah.
At least in Central Florida.
So there's-
a couple law firms that have.
And there's gonna be
That's all
two,
they do.
and there's gonna be two separate issues on this, so we're gonna present you with what it would look like to have one company come in and just knock them out, do every sidewalk in the community that needs to be replaced, because you can only grind them so many times before they have to be replaced, right?
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. The second aspect is gonna be more of getting with legal to see what we need to put in place, because we're coming up against issues. As a matter of fact, one that was recently filed was in front of the building
Hotel,
over the building, was it the hotel?
one last week, yeah.
Where they actually had big equipment doing work.
Oh,
that's-
no,
that's-
that's Water Street Condos.
Yes. So that's happening a lot too, and we've reached out to them, like we have documentation saying you had machinery, here's pictures, and they're saying, nope, that wasn't us. But at the end of the day, we own the sidewalks. We're responsible.
So
So-
Angel and I talked about this, whether or not we need a resolution.
So there's
going forward.
twofold, right? We're gonna present you with what it would take to do it, and then separately, we need to see what we can come up with to rectify this, because it's happening a lot and we are documenting it. We're taking pictures. First of all, we don't get notified when other entities or condos or whatever are doing work. We just have to see it. And then when we see it, we take pictures, we document it before and after, and we've actually sent it going, this, you can clearly see, no, the one lady, she's like, absolutely not,
So,
we didn't do it.
Jan, I mean, what
Yeah,
I,
and we've had a couple other issues of which will probably come up with the misuse of CDD, Esplanade, our folks
Yeah.
hanging out everywhere. We may want to take our use policy and turn it into an actual rule, so it's
Yeah.
actually something that, it's
What I was
something
even
enforceable
thinking-
by us and expanded, so we have, also use of sidewalks, use of other public property. Now it's really just for events,
Mhm.
but we may need to make it, so if you
For
wanted to
construction.
put, equipment
Yeah,
and stuff on our
'cause-
sidewalks.
what I was thinking, even if.
We're seeing a
What I
huge-
suggested to Angel, if you want to put it in there, is, number one, there's a penalty if somebody puts equipment on there and hasn't notified us in advance. Even if there's no damage, there's a penalty for failing to notify, because that's part of the problem, is we have told
We've
both CROA
asked, yeah,
and the associations, even if they're not officially under CROA, we've had these conversations and they just don't care, they go and do it anyway. So I think part of it needs to be some sort of penalty of just for somebody failing to notify. And then separately, can we require a deposit based on
We can certainly
How-
require a deposit.
how many panels they
Penalties
do?
are- And the other thing, we had sent a letter to the sheriff, gosh, back 16, 18, reminding them that this was public property, but that we did have an event policy, so you just can't go out and do stuff. And that to please, if anyone is out there that has not been approved, that they arrest them for trespass. So we can include that in our rule as well. So if you're using our sidewalk for an unapproved use, we can call the
In my
sheriff.
conversations generally that have come up in the past year or so with where we had the trespasser and
Yeah.
prostitution and stuff like that. They're willing to do it. Part of it on the sheriff's department is they're just confused as to who owns what in town.
which
I
is why-
provided maps.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gave them a digital copy of that one that they're supposed to load into their Secret Squirrel database. That'll
Yeah.
make it more helpful. But I've told them, I said, guys, come on a Saturday evening, you're like, here's the numbers. And we gave them Angels
Yeah.
and Russ's, and I think I even gave them mine as like a third case, just in case they don't answer. Call somebody, and yes, we will absolutely do what we need to do.
Would the board be opposed? This is just a personal request. That map is terrible. I hate that map. Yes.
I'm gonna point that.
He doesn't do them. Mark doesn't do them. That comes from Osceola County. His company does not do maps. Because when I first got here, I called Mark because engineers I've always worked with have provided ownership and maintenance maps. And he's like, we don't do that. You get it from Osceola County. I was like, huh? So that's what we got. That map is terrible.
What don't you like about it?
It's terrible. It's
understand what
terrible.
you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
Big probably.
it is. It's extremely vague. We need it updated. We have a little one of Island Village that
What do
we
you need?
pin. I want to know if I can get a real map made of Celebration.
You have a limit of $10. Congratulations, Phil. What do you need?
I don't know what it would cost. But I mean, I can get it done.
Are you getting digital versions that, okay, yeah, digital, I mean, the data's gonna come from county GIS, you're just gonna put it into a different.
Yeah, what they'll do is typically what an engineering firm would do who has those capabilities is they would lay out a map and then layer it, and then it would have all the ownership on it. Island Village would obviously be on there, and then it would be kind of have a legend of everything. That to me is just like, I just look at it and I'm like,
A lot of perfect.
so
Yes, I would like it improved.
is that okay?
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Is everybody
Good
on?
idea.
Yeah,
You're
that-
okay?
that would be really helpful.
I'm gonna get you contacts.
Thank you.
Dave's got a guy.
I don't know what it'll cost, so I can't even ask you for a not to exceed, but obviously if it's thousands of dollars, I will come back to the board, but, I mean, it is probably gonna be a large map.
I'll make a motion not to exceed $2,500. Is that good?
Okay,
Do you
I
that's
think
within the range?
if it's anything above that, I would definitely come back to the board. I wouldn't expect it to be, but that's perfect.
So you want a physical map like this and then. you
What they'll
have-
do is they'll do digital and then they'll also provide us one
Oh.
real map, like, you know,
Okay.
which I think we need. We can
Mhm.
frame it, put it in here if we want, whatever you want to do with it, but
We can Print maps, that's a dime, that's
I
on
like
paper.
that. If they
Oh, yeah.
ownership on-
yeah, it'll just show everything instead of that.
Right.
And sometimes the property appraiser that does that isn't even accurate.
No, but
Yeah.
it shows ownership. I don't know
I
what you
just-
got envisioned.
David, you know what I mean,
I
right?
do.
Okay,
I know exactly what you mean, and I'll get you contacts.
okay, do you have a second on that?
Second on the 25.
Okay, so-
All those in favor?
Russ-
Alright.
Russ's turn.
There you go.
Okay.
What
Um,
else you got? Oh,
Yes, so the other thing was the sidewalks, the second piece, and obviously that would come out of, my intent would be to present that to you all, and if the board approved it, depending on what the amount is, it would come from your reserves. I would not want to incorporate that into like your 25 budget to raise assessments. My recommendation would be pull it from reserves. The second part is on March 6th, we're going and doing a full community inspection, as the landscaper said earlier. Half is gonna be enhancements and half is gonna be like a need to, whether it's dead vegetation that has never been replaced or sod, whatever the need is. And that's gonna be presented to you as well. And again,
That may feed a budget discussion.
my recommendation, maybe enhancement portion, maybe some of it be budget discussion, but then some of it be reserve discussion. And again, that's just my recommendation for you all, but whatever you decide to do, but so
Yeah.
that's coming.
That line's funny. Okay.
Exactly.
The
So-
sidewalk one, I don't know what the answer is if the dollar number gets up there into the high range, kind of like what we did
It's
with-
gonna be high. I'm gonna let you know that, but I just don't know how high.
Well, what I'd say is you use your best judgment and take a look at, hey, if we knock it all out in 1 year versus kind of what we did with the benches, hey, if we do a 2-year thing, I know from a timing perspective, it'd be nice to get it all done, to get the legal piece done, but you know, if we're gonna tap our entire reserves in one shot just to do sidewalks.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I would break it out either into like half and half,
Yeah.
1 year, 2 year, or if it's a huge number,
Yeah.
maybe we do it over 3 years. I'm gonna do different plans
Use
for
the
you.
good judgment there.
Yeah.
You're pulling it together.
I will absolutely do that. That's all I had. I just wanted to let you know that was coming instead of you guys being blindsided going, oh, shoot, how did we come up with this?
Dave, we're still on your questions an hour later. What else
Oh,
we got?
good. Yeah, one more, and this,
Oh,
this will come up every month, I get a complaint, but, it is when.
oh, that's right, door hangers.
No, it's not close.
Oh, okay.
Really does
The
that.
idea I came up with, which were used by the tree guy, obviously this resident didn't see that, or they were put up way too late. Are the little yard signs that you can get for like $2.
Mhm.
That said, and you put it out 24, 48 hours before scheduled maintenance, that says, we're going on such and such date, tree trimming or sidewalk repair or street sweeping, whatever the hell it is, you just plug it there,
We
and
don't
take a
allow
picture. of it.
signs.
What?
We don't
We
allow
allow
signs.
But we can violate
CDD,
our own rule.
if you violate your own,
So
rule,
you
you
didn't like
can't.
the signs I put out on your street?
Exactly, that's what gave me the idea.
Was that the
I
alleyway?
got one and I did it up there.
Was that the alleyway signs?
Did it up around,
For the tree trimming.
yeah, your
Oh,
street
yeah, I see
too.
them.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
tree
that's what-
trimming and alleyway projects, absolutely.
I'll give you-
Alleyway, whatever.
Yeah,
anything
we'll
that's
put
safe.
out signs. I think that where it becomes a little difficult, tree trimming, yes, alleyway, yes. Where it comes a little difficult is if we were having one company come in and do your sidewalks, 100% put out a sign. With them, it's every day we're going to different,
Schedule.
you know what I
whatever,
mean?
schedule. So if he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna be doing this 100 yards of sidewalk in 3 days, then you put on your little sign.
okay, so
sidewalk repair.
scheduled is what you're saying,
Scheduled.
not just like one-off things that we're running out to do. Okay, okay, I mean, I don't see a
That'll
problem.
be down the road if we do what we're thinking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the board's okay.
And that way, I just, whenever somebody complains, I want to, whoever puts the sign in takes a picture and I send out the picture. Being the sign that we put 48 hours ago in front of your house that said move your car.
Yeah, and that's what he's
You didn't-
talking about, Jan. They're just signs that say, hey, alleyway paving is going on from Tuesday to Thursday, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was giving you a hard time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was giving Jan a hard time.
We would be violating our own rule. I mean,
Dave, you ran out of questions.
okay.
Right, because
Oh, never mind. Okay. Cassandra, what do you got?
Nothing.
All right.
Nothing, I'm ready to.
There you go. Field man.
Russ don't have
Streets
anything.
are, trimmed in Lake Evelyn, South Village, and they're starting in Longview and North Village.
Are we finally doing a consistent thing with Great Rentals? Does it come up again?
Doing them all the same way.
Good.
Last year.
Outstanding.
We did find a couple of boardwalk posts that are rotting down at the bottom, so we're gonna be reviewing those in the next couple of weeks. Basically, it's just the two that we found.
Okay, because that's what I'm getting at. She brought up sidewalks. Okay.
Been asked if we,
Sorry, we're just before I get, we're gonna boardwalks. We talked about like some of the traction strips. Were you able to get any of those?
that's what I was, do
Okay.
you want us to install some non-slip tape on some of the boardwalks where you've got sharp?
I'd ask for us just because the boardwalks, when they get wet, they get really, really slick. If people are running or whatever, I'm thinking
It's
particularly
like
like
a
the
little 4-inch strip, you see them on stairs and stuff.
yeah, the one going back from Artisan back to the high school. I mean, that thing has like 3 places where there's some S curves on the bikes. And I figured if we just did a test run of them just to see if they aesthetically they're nice, if they seem to work, that's something I'd like to put in my budget for next year to actually
I don't
put
know.
it.
Right, but stuff's not that expensive.
Okay, I kind of know how much the price.
You think
Maintenance.
that would cause more problems for us, because they'll say you put it here, why not here?
I think it makes sense.
So I'll get a little bit of tape and we'll try
As long
to
as
see what
it's
people
not-
say and stuff.
They
It
do
won't
get
cause
moldy
more-
and wet.
Yeah,
It is slippery.
Fountain lights, they started to take out, they got the inner ring out, we got covers on it, the fountain's still working, so all the lights are gonna be back to the shop, taking apart the electronics and reforming.
Oh my God.
Did we get everything that was fixed that came up a couple months ago, but there was some stone broken or something like that around there, that was like a safety issue, that's all taken care of?
That was, and now we got another issue, same thing with the place, so we're going to take care of it.
That was fixed, but the next problem is.
Phone cable in Island Village, I might get one more of the irrigation clocks running like about Monday or Tuesday next week. So we finally got the conduit all the way across the bridge. So they're working on that. Cyclone Park. We got played in Thursday. Played Thursday. Took the park, and there was a toolbox actually with some tools in it that we need to use too. Well, it was broke, so a few of the parts are missing, so they're resending a few more parts. Hopefully they sent them out today, but it's been, what, two months or more we've been waiting on stuff. We're at their mercy.
That'll be another budget item, talk about a trailer or whatever.
Just sell it? Just kidding.
Set it on fire.
Just kidding.
We got insurance.
We do.
On started painting golf park, all the trash cans and the stuff. We're gonna start on coming back the other way, doing the benches. I think we're gonna try to just buying a little planer and taking all the wood slats and just run them through the planer real quick and see what that. Instead of sanding them,
I thought.
we take the wrong time. Times of the essence, if we can really knock those out, and that one, the green metal on the benches. Electric's been removed from LP cameras, like I said, we've got pretty close, probably within 5% of pricing for the sidewalks just in North Village. If you would decide to get all that done at once. Don't know if you want to hear the price or not.
No,
I won't say.
we're gonna put it all together.
Okay. Talked about the roof here. Furniture, the old wooden furniture, teak furniture. Can we put that on Facebook or something and start selling it?
Yes.
We have to surplus it. first,
Yeah.
So we need inventory to be able to say that we no longer.
And we have it.
It's got a little bunch that says surplus.
We already have them.
It's also.
Yeah.
No, but the board needs to make.
We
a
need to make a
resolution
motion on
that
it, yeah,
this is-
yeah.
That we're gonna surplus it.
So you need inventories to bring back to the next meeting so we can go.
And we have it. It's all piled up out back.
Yeah.
And is it all just from a safety, because some of that stuff,
All the old teak furniture that we removed from the.
yeah, but some of
There's
that.
no safety issues with what we've kept.
We won't
Okay,
sell
that's
anything,
what I
it's a
was-
safety
No.
issue.
Thank you.
Not at all.
And
Okay.
we sent over a receipt thing. I hope you got it. That basically an as is, you're buying this, no warranty.
Right. I don't think it needs to come back to the board. You have a surplus policy already in place, and we have to document it, take pictures and post it. And then we take the bids.
Okay, we usually have. the
So we can
boards-
put it like on Facebook, hey, we
You want
got
it?
benches for
Okay.
sale.
I mean, we can just make a motion now.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I make a motion that whatever's out there, safe surplus, that we surplus it in accordance with board policy.
Did we sell them all as a lot or is it vaporized?
No.
The more you buy, the cheaper they are, I'll tell you that right now, we've already sold 3 of them. But we haven't even advertised.
I know.
I think I revised and extend my motion.
Russ, stop talking.
Being honest.
What he didn't tell you was, he was the one who bought 2 of them.
At least he said sold and I gave away.
Yeah. So we already do. It's
Oh,
all
well,
back
Russ.
here. If you just want to even drive through one day, you can see it, but we're taking pictures. All of it is safe. No non-safe stuff
Alright.
for us.
That I could just throw it all in the trash can and be done with it.
It won't fit.
I think we're gonna need to put some gates or something down in Island Village. Where you wanna put your baseball field. It's, I don't know, I think there's pictures in the
There's a lot of crap that's dumped out there.
there's all kinds of stuff down there.
But we can't gate it off because it's the whole problem is Duke Power needs the access piece. They won't allow us to fence it off. Without giving them.
They never had access where they've got access right now, they always had access further down the road.
They've got a gate down the road.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
You talking, you wanna put it gated now?
I'm thinking we need to do something, I mean, we can give Duke a key to it too, I don't care, but we got that or, let me put some. smile, you're on camera signs up or something to deter people. Even a fake camera on that black pole right
Smile,
there.
you're on camera.
I mean, it's
Great.
just like almost every day now, there's another pile of landscape debris and all that stuff.
Like, I mean, once the word gets out, then everybody starts using it as a cover ground.
Well, it's like 100 yards of stuff out there more right now.
Listen, if you wanna get them, I'm okay, as long as you don't think there's an issue with the gas line piece, that we're fencing that off, that they're just gonna.
I think if
Because we're gonna
they'll
go
have
to
the
a
right
gas
to
line
remove it, won't
fence.
they?
If you're gonna go from the.
They'll have a right
I
to
don't
remove
know, like
it
a
if
hot,
they need
like
to,
maybe 2 little gates
Yeah.
with roads.
but if we give them
Something,
access
I
to
don't,
it.
something needs to be done.
I'm all for it, I just, can we do it?
I think we can give them access, but if they wanted to rip it down, they could.
Honestly, what happens is you just put it up at risk, then you get in there, they tear it down, they don't ask.
Or you just talk about fencing off the end of the road there where it stubs out.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you
I'm
were
not
talking
talking
about,
about big old fence.
I thought you were talking about from the edge of the school property to I-4,
No.
okay, you're talking about going the other way.
Right where the pavement is.
I'd say if you want to get a quote on something and bring it back next meeting, sure, because you're right, there is a bunch of crap that's getting dumped out there, and eventually we're gonna have to figure out what to do.
Hey, I got a fence guy, sent it to you.
Love it.
He does proofs too.
Last thing I got, maybe Mark's got it on his hairs, is the Mark's free issue. I'm done with mine, so.
2 questions, are we done with the light poles repainting?
We're done with all the real tall A1 light poles.
Yeah.
Well, we're not done with all the ones I wanna get done with. I wanna do like Water Street downtown,
But
all the
you're-
ones that's got the,
You guys are doing those, the outside consultant was just doing the taller ones?
no, I want them to do those too.
Okay,
Mhm.
We're gonna do the B1s.
Yep.
These are, I don't know what the heck they're called, but they've got the arm on it.
Yep.
But then they got the little hook on it.
yeah,
I want them to paint those too. We've got it in the budget.
that's over the budget, okay.
Yeah.
They'll probably be coming back in a month or two.
Listen, I've gotten multiple comments from folks that it's,
It looks,
nobody really knew it until you started painting them, and all of a sudden you look at one side where it's new and one side where it's old. It's night and day difference, so good stuff. And then we are done with the benches and the chairs that we bought this year, right? That's everything installed and completed.
that's good though.
But I thought it was last month, I just want to make sure, so.
Yeah, that's all done.
All right, any other questions for?
Did we fix the sign that was misspelled in the lake?
Yes.
Mhm.
I wonder how long that was up.
Ever.
8 years.
8 years, you think?
Yeah.
Forever.
It's possible.
Yep.
I don't think we're
Good.
good.
Anything else for us? Jan? Oh, you're-
Gosh, I'm tired out now. Yeah, the insurance, we had another new case, and so we're trying to keep track of, when they first get served, we end up calendaring to make sure the insurance company assigns counsel on time, so they just assigned counsel on the new one, so we're out of it now, insurance defense will take over. The Duke franchise, we were waiting for Enterprise to have a meeting, so they can decide if, we had said we would go joint with them on the agreement, but they have to agree to do joint agreements rather than separate.
What was this for? Jan?
The Duke franchise. fee.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah. And so until we hear from Enterprise, was that next week? The Enterprise meeting?
Yeah, the first Wednesday. I mean, they're fine with it. They're gonna sign off on it and
Yeah, either way,
Yeah.
I mean, negotiating it separately is sort of what Duke wants, but we'll find out next week and then we'll
Yeah.
just put the cost with the attorney first.
Enterprise. And the 6%, I mean,
That's,
we're gonna get the 6%,
Yeah,
right?
it's non-negotiable, yeah,
Yeah.
we can't get more, we told them we wouldn't go.
We wouldn't take
Once you
less.
get less, that's-
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
We're good with that, we had that discussion already.
We also have a gas line one though, don't we? I know originally it was
They
electricity,
canceled.
gas and.
No,
and
they-
The cable, and I know the cable you can't do because like first.
Gas
Cable and
withdrew
telephone.
Yeah.
and gas canceled. We don't, do we
I
get,
don't think we have gas anymore.
yeah, we don't
think
get gas
just-
anymore. It's just Duke. That's all you get now.
Okay, I never realized the gas one stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And why would that be?
Why,
Yeah.
why? The gas?
Yeah. It's
Um,
like Olive Island Village, every house has gas.
yeah.
I'm the only one with gas.
But this is the easement for their stuff to our property is the question that they owed us.
That would be Island Village.
Well, that's true too, yeah, especially since I put more, I mean.
Generally, they took the easements by
They-
eminent
yeah.
domain and paid up, 100 years ago.
So
Mhm.
we did have one. I'd like to know whether or not it was just because we didn't.
Years
renew it,
ago.
that we weren't paying attention. Or,
We do still get some money. If you look at your financials, there's a right of way fees for gas and we've got through January, 217 what, $817. So we do get it from the gas company and the electric. We do not for
For
telecommunications.
the telecommunications, yeah.
Yeah, they changed
But
it.
gas, it's only it's only a few hundred, right, Brenda? It's under 1,000.
Yeah, 800.
Yeah, the
Yes.
budget is $5,000, but we've only gotten $800.
The power one was a big, my question is, I thought because, if I remember right, I thought both of them had the same term, the electricity and the gas. So I just want to make sure the gas one isn't expiring as well.
I don't believe it has an expiration date.
No,
Which
yeah,
is
that one did not. Duke Energy did.
Are we
Yeah,
getting,
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
offline.
okay, so for gas though, we didn't have gas in Celebration until out in the village started.
Well, no, we had it was the easement for the main.
It's
feeder.
the easement.
I know,
But you're saying you could be getting more because of.
right, but now it's the
I agree.
gas company is going through our alleys. and saying
You
that.
should be getting right away fees for what they're doing, right, Final Village.
Unless Mattamy already gave them easements.
Yeah,
Where?
we can check into it, but
We'll have to look at title on their houses.
Not just the alleys, going down between sidewalk and curb and sides of the roads. and all
Actually, that's
that.
ours too, that's true. They have to go through us somehow to get it out.
Just a thought, and worth looking into. Get a bucket house after a while, it'll be more than what we're getting right now.
Talk to Mattamy's coming to find out what. Other things talking about Mattamy, they submitted 2 more applications that Mark is having fun going through to look at. I reminded them that they still had
They still
two
haven't
things
closed up
that,
one.
that weren't closed out, and that we had post-closing agreements. And that, I didn't think the board was gonna look kindly at accepting something new till those were still outstanding. Supposedly the roof barriers were installed last week.
Yep, we confirmed they have been installed once the, met around the pond tracks.
Okay, great. So the only other thing out there then is the hand-drawn irrigation plan.
Yeah, we don't have. Electric irrigation, so.
Cherry Lake is their contract.
Very like, I don't know how long ago, months ago, we had a walk and said, yeah, no problem, we'll have them to you in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Emailed them a couple times.
The root barriers is the big one. I'm glad we got
Yeah,
that.
I contacted the attorney last week and said we had the roof barriers and the
Good.
irrigation and, we had to go before the board next week, so let me know what's happening. And so I know they finished the roof barriers.
So,
and
yeah,
not heard
they're,
back on-
Casey was naming gave some BS when we met about how they don't have to give us, they're not getting any,
It's right in the specs. As been.
yeah.
It's not even a question.
So that's.
It's progressing, albeit
Yeah,
slowly.
it's progressing slowly. And then the only other thing was we put together, this came up at a meeting a couple months ago, a policy for the benches because
Yes.
people are wanting donations. So we put together a policy. So just take a look at it and Russ, it's really probably you. Like we did memorial trees too because the garden club apparently is handling that. So it would be better to let them handle it. So if we said they can put in six trees, they can deal with it.
Saw that on the agenda, you actually had something in there.
Yeah.
That's not an action item for this.
No, it's not an action item. It's for you guys to look at, for Russ to come up with thoughts and to think.
Oh, there it is.
Do you wanna put, do you wanna have bronze plaques on them that people can put a memorial on them? You wanna not have a plaque? So just everybody take a look and let me know any comments so we can, there's no rush on it, but since some people have bought them, we wanna make sure we have a plan for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
and also
Okay.
some protections, like on tax donations and that kind of stuff. And that's it. It's been busy this month, but there's lots of little stuff.
We had a brief discussion last meeting on the allocation of space in Island Village for phase 1. That the civic space, I guess there was, Dave, was a requirement that Mattamy was supposed to give a civic space.
Yes, it's part of their,
And they gave us the land that
and school.
we really are having trouble building on, so there was I thought there was an action between Mark and Jen to get together and figure out, did we actually accept that land?
It's part of the phase 1A turnover, so it hasn't been.
It hasn't been accepted yet.
That's part of this. Okay.
So knowing that that's the case, we haven't fully accepted it yet. Do we still have leverage before we accept it, because that land is such a pain in the what to use? Do we have leverage to go back to Mattamy and say, this wasn't really, you can't give me land that I can't use and call it here's your civic space allocation regulations. So what do we do with that?
I don't know if there's any stipulation that
It
has to be
was
usable.
civic
Yeah,
space.
it's county.
Well, I'm going based on
Yeah.
what Dave said, so I don't know what that means.
It's a line item that just says you have 1,300 homes, you've got 10,000 square or 30,000 square feet of commercial space, and you've got 5 acres of civic space. I don't know.
Before we accept it, though, I don't want to accept it and all of a sudden just got a turd because we can't use the thing. We don't have usable civic space. I mean, if it's for a player to be traded later in phase 2 because the stuff here really doesn't meet the intent of what the entitlement was, then we need to be raising that now.
It's really a TCC question on
Yeah.
the entitlement they sold and what qualifies. It's defining that civic space. So I want to guess.
Whose requirement was it? County?
No, it's
It was TCC?
TCC sold entitlements to Mattamy.
Mhm.
Part of those entitlements was civic space, 5 acres. But remember correctly.
That include pond tracks and the other open space
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah,
That's,
Little
yeah.
views, I don't know if
Wetlands.
you the pros, but those types of.
yeah, Esplanade,
If it does, then is that? Gas easement track, that was not coming to the CD when the school was gonna be.
That was supposed to be originally the school. Yeah.
So those entitlements were probably already figured out prior to the school deciding they didn't want that land, and that just basically became excess and it's, you know. Those,
yeah, and then like, well, that handles that, there's your civic space.
So I don't know,
That is a TCC question, so I don't know who's
Yeah,
our.
Who's the right person to ask that?
Yeah, who's got TCC?
See
Dave.
See what happens when you
Got
bring up an
that, yeah.
issue.
Okay,
And it may go nowhere, but I would like to know before we close out on this, if
But at
we've got
least
an
we're
argument
gonna
for
get-
some other
yeah.
space that's actually usable, let's fight for that.
Do they have any other space?
Well, that's why I say, it may come down to a phase 2 or phase 3 question.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's like.
I'm just throwing
things
stuff
flying
everywhere.
No, even if it's, like I say, for a space to be traded later, if there's truly they didn't meet the intent kind of thing, okay, well, I got it, there's nothing, phase 2 is
Yeah, that's-
probably already come and gone, but at least it's phase 3 or phase 4.
Okay,
There's
let's see
still
if
other stuff to
TCC
talk.
has any teeth that they can.
Yeah.
Dave, I'll help, but if you can reach out to somebody.
You know a guy?
You
He
know.
does roofs too.
I know 3 guys. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
You like it.
I'll send it off for easy, but see what bounces back.
Cool.
That was all I had for Jan. Any other questions? for
Anybody
Jan?
else?
Eminent domain, I don't know. I just
Oh,
asked
yeah,
them.
eminent domain.
Still in
Our,
progress.
yeah, it's still in progress. They've gotten proposals on most of the parcels. They're meeting next week with their internal engineer. They've got like a big block of time set aside for CDDs, and they're gonna go over the whole, I-4
Oh, good.
access. And so they will come back with what they think is a recommended counter proposal.
What, give me a rough idea what your best guess is on timeline then, based on where we're at now for the finalization. Does this mean we're a month out or we're 6 months out or a year out? I don't know what to expect here as far as for us to, but
Yeah,
keep asking.
there's no expectation.
Okay,
These things just,
they just sort of sit there.
yeah, they sit there. I mean, I'm hoping within the next 2 months, we'll have a counter proposal, so we know that, okay, this is.
Okay, that's what I was.
This is
yeah.
the range of money that we may get. This is
Yeah.
the worst case, this is the best case.
Okay.
So we should know that in, probably the next 2 months.
Okay.
So it is moving.
All right, anything else for Jan? Mark?
so, yeah, got my monthly report, mentioned I got a handful of things we'll just go through real quick. We talked about earlier, we got the root barriers installed around the ponds. They're met, I had initially identified pretty much any tree within 10 feet. They came back with their arborist letter saying, no, 6 feet because it's down the slope. We met with Jacob, Tanner, Anatomy, Russ and I met and kind of negotiated. About half of those with the root barriers and those were installed last week.
Awesome.
There are 2 or 3 trees on the apartments that they recently went in within the last 30 days that are 5 feet from the sidewalk, big oak trees. I've reached out to that contact you gave me twice now, I haven't heard back. Not sure if anyone got a better contact with Streetlights is the name of those apartments.
Yeah, they got contact.
You're running out of paper, write this stuff down, man.
Basically telling them to, install root barrier.
Yeah, I got a guy.
Or move farther back from the sidewalk. Those are oak trees and they are close, and they're decent sized ones to begin with.
And for what the gentleman was saying before at the beginning of the meeting, as far as some those are all in warranty, so those are, what's the process there? Do we just need, or have we already notified? I mean, it sounds like you guys already kind of.
There's. Guys are all asked what, maybe 12 trees that need to be replaced, some at the school, some at the streetlight departments, and one across the street from there. Other than that, everything else has been replaced, and Madamy's position is, once that tree gets replaced, that we ask to get replaced, they're done with it that day. It's up to the homeowner to make sure that tree gets watered and lives.
That's not.
So that goes back to Crow.
That's not reasonable.
That's not unreasonable.
We have no authority over the irrigation of that. Now, we used to, in some of the other villages, we actually ran tree bubbers to every street tree there was. And little ball valve, battery operated valve,
You're saying Highland Village does not have those?
does not have that. They've got water, it's just up to the homeowners to make sure it gets watered.
How did they do it when they first built the town here? None of us were around.
I mean, I've got tree bubbles.
Hey.
Russ was around.
A bunch of money for water trucks
About right.
until we got into East Village and we started doing tree bubbers. Every tree.
Maybe door handle.
Tonight.
Well played.
Love
Mark, what you got?
So yeah, so they've submitted an application to turn over Island Village Phase 1A and 1B. Initially, it came in as one package. Because there's duplicate named tracks in both phases, it was hard to tell which track it actually was. There were missing tracks. They included tracks that shouldn't have been included. Iterations back and forth. I think we're finally down to 2 separate applications. And it's all the tracks. Initially, they didn't want to turn over all the tracks, which just makes it a nightmare to try to keep track of what's been over. Hasn't. So at this point, got 2 applications that list all of the outstanding tracks for the CDD.
Does it include all the bridge stuff? It's still,
No, this is just phase 1A and 1B.
okay, I thought the bridge was part of.
That's Celebration Boulevard. That's been turned over.
That was turned over a while ago.
Well, we know, but the light.
We
piece
didn't-
never got
yeah,
turned
we
over.
didn't-
The lights we haven't
I thought they
accepted.
wanted to turn over everything at once, then have post-closing agreement over the stuff that just might
No,
not.
they tried not to, and I actually got Mark in trouble because I made them like say, sorry, we want the entire phase at once. And they called me to complain about Mark.
Mark was the
Sorry, I just
sacrificial
wanted-
lamb on that one.
I got the call from.
Academy doesn't think highly of you that. Good, good, so.
Give them a raise.
Yeah.
Exactly what I wanted to hear.
They're
So
planning to rob me about it.
That's good. Did you send me the new applications like? Just if you would in the
Yeah, I'll
next.
send you the, probably not the 1B files.
Okay, because yeah, we're not gonna start till you're happy on what's coming.
So we've been inspecting it, I had initially when they had, this was probably a year ago, they had started to indicate that they were gonna turn over, I had kind of walked all the 1A stuff, had a 60 item punch list. Kind of gone back and used that as a starting point, kind of check, half of that stuff's still outstanding, it's a lot of the electrical boxes not grade. A lot of the plates on the poles aren't there. That email came in from a resident about how horrible the sidewalks were constructed. They've got different colors of different panels, and you've got footmarks. On some of them, so we've located footmarks as far as the color goes. I don't know if we do unless it's just some.
It's just the
egregious-
concrete.
Egregious difference.
Yeah.
But it's all poured at different times. It's poured when the house was built, so you're gonna have light gray, darker gray.
Tom has the same complaint about over here in
You have
what
it-
we've gotten. He
Yeah.
has the same complaint that the concretes don't match.
Then when we make repairs, it's never
No.
gonna, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't.
That means, yeah, they really don't like them.
Well, tell me, cut a break. Yeah.
Well, we already got the footprints and we found a couple tire tracks. There was probably a lawn equipment on the concrete while it was still soft. And it was in. So we'll put those on the list.
Did you find my initials?
Those are hidden. Look very carefully.
Take them bigger.
Artisan Park tracks. I think you sent an email
That came over from
There, it's
Crowa.
the tracks between Craftsman East and Craftsman West, the two one-ways, there's three triangular
With
tracks there
bocce ball
down
court
to
and all that stuff.
the amphitheater. The most northerly one, I guess there was two trees that blew over in the storm,
Yeah.
and just stumps
We
at
need-
this point.
I was the one that was looking up and cut the thing out.
About what?
There's two other ones that are dead. Russ has not been maintaining anything inside the pavement
Thank you.
forever. I guess the homeowner's saying, no, it's yours. The CDD does actually own a narrow strip. of-
See the yellow down there?
Even though there's not a sidewalk.
You know where the
There is
amphitheater
a
is
sidewalk,
at?
there is a sidewalk.
It's,
Skinny
What
little.
are they talking about?
It's like three parts.
Yeah, so there's a real skinny curve inside.
Parts, we own this little skinny.
And it's
weird.
Oh,
It's interesting.
yeah.
The sidewalk sits 8 feet from the pavement, from the road, the CDD track is only 5 feet. So there's a, and it doesn't. make
Who's
sense.
saying we have to replace the trees?
Crowa.
Initially went to Crowa to replace
The
it.
guy that came in here and wanted to punch me in the face.
Oh.
That was
Yeah.
Crowa,
The
Resident.
resident.
okay. Yeah, cause it's, I will tell you,
Cause we told him it's not our responsibility.
I still don't plan on touching that park. We never, I've got prints and it says, oh, this is CDD, and I've got prints that say this is all Crowa.
Right,
Parks.
so are you saying?
That park, the whole entire thing is
it's Crowa.
Crowa's, the irrigation system's Crowa's and separate from the CDD.
So, I'm sorry, what are we saying that, cause that does show a purple track around it.
The property appraiser shows in that last email from Cindy or someone
Yeah.
was said here's just to provide
Yeah.
clarification, there is a CDD, a narrow
But
CDD.
they've
track
been maintaining
the
it
plat?
forever.
by the plat, yeah.
Oh, so you did find the plats on it?
The plat shows
Oh,
it
so-
actually shows both inside and outside of CDD, but I guess at some point. Arvida, whoever decided to give side piece to Crowa because it was for use for back to.
I mean, if it's
Why don't
ours,
we
it's
just
ours.
don't-
Just
yeah.
need
Can
to
we
fix
just
it.
donate it to Crowa?
Yeah.
Well, we tried to do that with the damn Georgetown one.
And they
a few years
didn't
ago.
want
They
it.
didn't want That either.
All right, that's gonna be part of that too, because there's some wonky, Crowa, CDD ownership of like cul-de-sacs and whatnot. There's a bunch of.
There's all kinds of stuff. The
I mean,
one we talked about last year was the Charleston place. or-
Charleston, that's
But
what-
yeah,
I mean, guys, listen, I'm happy to re-engage that conversation. We've got a different board. Actually got the 4 new board members posted. Take bets on who that is.
Oh, no, I saw it.
What's that?
Oh.
Crowa had their election.
I
Yeah,
didn't
no, but
see.
who is it?
Who is it?
Don McDonald's one.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Don, Katie, Andrew DeGanzik, and who was the other one?
Eric.
Eric Oxford.
Yeah.
Eric
Is Cindy's, what's her name still on it? Oh, she's out. Okay.
Oxford. My suggestion would be, let's replace the 2 trees.
Yeah.
They're
They're on our property.
They're on our property, and if we wanna have a discussion about fixing
So-
some of these property things, then we can do that separately, let's just get these trees fixed.
I'm gonna be a little hard now, but. So do we mow just 5 feet of the grass and tell them they gotta mow the other
No,
3 feet?
just replace the trees, We'll fix
Okay.
it. We'll fix it.
Yeah. They're not suggesting that they're not gonna mow the grass, and if they do, I'll have a friendly conversation over a cup of coffee, don't be stupid.
So why not the trees then? Is my point. Like, why, if you're not arguing over the maintenance of the grass, why are you arguing over the maintenance of the
Because
trees?
they had absolutely no idea until somebody starts.
Well, that's not true because I'm waiting for Jacob to send me a thing. He mentioned that a year ago, and so
Yeah.
they didn't have the money to replace the
Correct.
trees at the time.
Let's just.
So, okay.
Can we, it's community dollars, if it's on our property, it's on our property, let's replace the trees, and if they wanna really get stupid and talk about, we have to cut this strip of grass, and we're gonna cut that one. I'm sure that won't be the extent of our stupid conversations.
That's a nice, yeah, when we get the chance, that'll be a nice, starter for a discussion on a land swap.
Yes.
How many trees are on that
I think
property?
it's 4,
4 total?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, there's more total, but those are the 4
the
that.
4 that are, need to get
Yeah.
replaced.
So we need to replace 4.
Yes.
Okay.
There are only 2 that went down in the storm, though, I
But
thought.
there's 2 missing, so
Okay,
So they want all 4 put back in.
well,
do we only wanna do the 2 that?
just do the 2 that went down in the storm. If they're missing, then nobody's gonna know.
He's not complaining about that, right?
There's
I
a
don't know.
gigantic stump out there that's obvious that there's.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the email traffic on this was insane.
So yeah, so you've got those 3 parks, there's these 2 little square parks, Oscar and Green Square, the same kind of situation occurs there, where you've got a narrow CDD track around it. But Crowa's been apparently maintaining the whole thing.
Yeah, and I can understand because it's sidewalk piece, but then they own sidewalks that are another place.
Yeah, they all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do need to give this land, it's gonna come up continuously every time they don't have the money
We
to
need to have a
maintain
land
some,
discussion of
you know,
some of this. knuckleheadery.
yeah.
Alright. Request came in from a homeowner on Campus Street Alley. I guess there's a house that they know of that's gonna be demoed. Bring it up.
Joe Smithy. Yes.
And he asked if we could accelerate the repaving schedule for that one alley in downtown Village. I'm not sure, it would seem to me that you wanna do the demo, you know, it seemed like. it's
We wanna
pointless that-
wait until the demo's
Yeah,
done.
it seemed like you wanna wait, okay, well, once the
No.
demo can be done, do the demo, if you think damage to the alley. after it's
Absolutely.
repaved.
Well, no, if there's
But if
damage to
wonder-
the alley, we need to take pictures now, knowing there's gonna be a demo, and if the
Oh,
homeowner
yeah.
damages it, then they're gonna pay for the repaving.
But,
Do that regardless, whether it's.
but we're
you know,
not,
possible,
we're
that's-
not ready to do that. Why would we accelerate it? Just based off of a resident demoing a house?
No.
No, I don't.
This was another social media brouhaha. There was concern about whether or not they were gonna block the alley for construction work and blah, blah, blah. And nobody knew this. They were just, well, what if they do? And then it became a death spiral
yeah.
into the 20.
When's the demo scheduled? They don't know?
There's no date in there. They heard
There-
that the demo.
There was an application that went to Croa for their ARC in order to demo the house and what the
Mhm.
new house design needed to look like and all that kind of stuff. So that'd be my only suggestion is let's make sure we get pictures of the alleyway in case there's any damage out there, but I think there's gonna be, I mean, there's.
We don't even have it scheduled yet, right? To do the alley? Okay,
No.
Main Village, I thought you did get
yeah, okay. But definitely, yeah, if it comes up, we'll take pictures, but
But that would be, I would think, part of the conversation too of what you were saying before, Jen, on, hey, if you're gonna do construction stuff or other use of CDD areas, you need
Yeah.
to notify us
Yeah.
ahead of
It'll
time.
be in the alley or the sidewalk.
Yeah,
definitely, we have to get that like done pretty
Mhm.
quick
Yeah.
because it's getting out of control.
There's a quick update on the K5 track. I know Greg's aware when we met with Reedy Creek. You know, had a conference call with Florida Gas, who owns one of the gas lines on our track, CDD's track. Showed them the plan that you all have seen. And their general consensus was we can't support the plan as is. You know, they are willing to make some allowances. I asked for their comments in writing, still have yet to receive that. But basically their concerns was any fencing that's running parallel with the line in the easement. Structures in the easement. Dugouts in the bleachers, those seem to, anything that would interfere with their ability to drive, sniff, maintain, relocate the line, just kind of what we expected. So I asked for that in writing, you know, told them that there probably is some negotiation on bleachers.
they're movable bleachers, they're not.
Dugout, I'm not so sure. They asked me what kind of structure is it? I said it's probably gonna be a chain link type structure with some sort of solid roof, whether it's tin or just a cheap shingle roof. I don't know what it will be, but. So waiting for that. Still haven't heard from the other two gas companies. We've been counting AOUC. Your contact forwarded me to the two other people, so I reached out to them. I finally heard back from. Oh, for OUC? A guy named Adonis Willis. He looked at it and said he didn't have any problem parking being underneath there. But the structures was a no-go and the lights had to be low profile and outside of zone of influence of the wires. So I asked them, well, what is that zone of influence? So they needed a certain amount of area around the poles to maintain the poles. Guy wires, I said, well, what is that information? So we're trying to schedule the team's call on that. And stormwater ponds that we were showing in the easement, he had a little concern with them blocking their ability to navigate the easement, so we may have to reshaping them or they'll be able to get around them. So.
Mark, do you think it's advantageous that we take our foot off the gas just a little bit and we find out? If it's just thought is it, Glenn seemed to be interested in helping us with the gas companies. So we feel like we want to maybe slow down the conversations with them until he's in a position to weigh in, or do we want to just keep asking the question for now and then?
FQT, you know, I'm not gonna bother them every day. But I just followed up with them today, say, hey, just following up to our last meeting.
I mean, depending on what happens in that, whatever that call is we have over the next week or two, I'm gonna press for him hard to at least get some sort of conditional approval through his board for an easement or something. That, hey, if they want to put in there, it's conditioned on these certain things, but I want to know at least that the board from a policy perspective is okay with doing this, as long as any of the engineering stuff is going on.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts to get any more information or opinions or positions from the utilities.
Okay,
So if we have it before the meeting, share it, because I'm sure they're gonna ask, well, what have they told them so far?
okay,
Once they're been-
okay.
The last thing is.
No.
She threw all the jam.
She gave me the last one, I'm like saving it. Like, I don't-
He waited until the last minute.
I looked, I'm like, she finally gave me one.
I know they
Finally.
feel good.
I know, I'm like,
I was waiting for Jan to dig in on her own.
I know, I was trying to be polite.
Yeah, Bugles too, ranch.
Sorry, Mark, I like those.
I have a children's, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't bring up the Duke Energy,
School.
the high school pond. Looks like the pond next to the high school got bigger than it used to be. And because.
What?
Well, the school did it when they built the school in the stadium,
Yeah, and now
and it
the
blocks their overhead power easement that's there.
How did this come about?
They're doing some
'Cause
retrofit on
Duke's-
those lines.
yes.
And they
Okay.
said- and they-
Replacing, so they said they can't get to it now that pond was expanded and it's cut off their access. It's
so
like,
they
we
want,
didn't cut it off, the school board built the project because.
but it's our
someone-
pond.
But yeah.
It's our
So
pond.
the school board built it and it's our pond.
Yeah.
Say we need to go
It
back to the
accepts
school board.
drainage from, well, it's
We-
drainage from the school. That's the one that flooded during the hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's-
We're trying to get Duke to tell us what they want, like give us the access if they go around the bottom of the pond, to give us the access they want, so we're trying to push it on them to give us.
Did you see, they sent me a form of easement,
No, it is a lot.
and an exhibit of going around the pond and they were gonna work on.
Legal description, no, we could send that to me. Okay, good, well, that was good, because yeah, we got title work.
There goes some 10-foot sidewalk that will be broke. With the line trucks rolling over.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark, forgot about that.
It's all right.
Pond problem.
The last thing is campus and Front Street,
This is where you.
crosswalk.
It's weird.
Do we want to start looking at that again?
Yeah, I think so.
Right by the condos with the underhead.
With the tunnel?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Tom sidewalk.
Huh?
This is the Tom sidewalk.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the Carlisle.
Yeah, Carlisle, and I guess, do we want to start, and we had gotten some prices a while ago. I can't remember what they were. But we had some options, do we just want to do one crosswalk, how involved we want to get the county, I'm not sure they're gonna want to see something. Stuff inside.
I mean,
the road.
I would think if we're talking about doing a ton of sidewalk work, we actually didn't put this in the budget for this year. It's smaller, I get it, but my point is if we're gonna outsource for a whole ton of concrete work, why don't we just include it in that?
Oh, that's what we're thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah,
Well,
Or having K&D do it under this year's contract.
this is involving extra ramps and.
We have to add some ramps. and I think
Curb
it's
cutouts?
Powerful, right?
Yes.
Powerful.
and the county's gonna have to be involved in that.
And I agree 100% with putting the sidewalk there, where, if you look at that intersection, there needs to
Yeah.
be a sidewalk.
They're
extension
definitely
there.
gonna have to be involved in it.
But you can probably do it, and you can branch it there, and this crosswalk is there. Not worried about the difference, honestly, but.
Wow.
You just let them know, hey, we're putting a crosswalk here.
Yeah,
Sure, right.
I'd hate for them to come after the fact and us have to beg for forgiveness for something.
The county
And
never
that's-
comes here anyway, so what's the difference?
I guess that's outside the Sonoa private driveway.
Yes, that is not to know. They stop at the hotel and they stop at the entrance for the parking lot back behind Starbucks, but 50 feet shy of that. Yeah, there's public roadway.
But I agree that crosswalk should go there, because I use that quite a bit.
I mean, if what you're saying is we think we're gonna need to do stuff. It doesn't sound like the cost of this is necessarily as big of a deal as the permitting and the county involvement and everything else.
Well, yeah, what level is the county gonna want, are they gonna wanna see a full blown
Right.
survey?
I mean, if you wanna start,
Grades,
I will say, I agree, I think we need to put it there, and if we're only talking $10,000 or $15,000 concrete work, that's not that big. a deal. Start, whatever questions need to go in there, but that's fine.
just go to public works then. county liaison at this point. We've been dealing with the county on traffic stuff.
I know again.
I mean, I've been hitting them up, I've been hitting them up a lot, I can.
You know, that'd be the first thing to see what they require, if they, you know, they give them a sketch, show them where we wanna put it.
I'll
You asked the
I'll
guy
take it.
right here at the kids' village, because they're fixing to put a crosswalk up, it's already been approved.
Where's it?
Right on the other side of 417,
Okay.
Kids Village. Is it Henry? Can you give?
Henry Gonzalez.
Henry Salinas.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'd go a layer above him, but yes, somewhere in that food chain. Yeah, I'll take them.
And, that's all I have.
Where are we with the Mattamy Bridge?
Lights, it's
Yes.
completely demoed down to the base at this point.
Still working on it.
Oh, they, on all the pillars or just?
Just go on.
Okay.
They're
So-
still working on it. It's in
So,
progress.
so what I expected was what we're getting is, yeah, they really screwed this up and they're gonna have to tear them all apart. Is that kind of where
Don't
we're
know
going?
yet.
Just that other ones. Oh, they probably need to look at the other ones.
That's my point is,
Yeah.
I'm sure Todd looked at the other ones from our side to say that the wire is loose and you can pull it from the top to where it goes.
Can check one or two.
if they, listen, if they demoed it that far down and they still don't know what the hell is underneath there.
There's not even a column left.
That's what I'm saying.
The light pole's gone, everything.
Listen, they didn't just screw up that one. Let's call this what it is.
Oh,
Yeah. That's my point.
No, it's very possibility.
We have any to test. Somebody needs to test, I guess, or more.
So, okay.
Shouldn't we have them do it?
Now,
Not that we
yeah,
can.
yeah, that's rough.
You know,
They're gonna be like, "Oh, check, man, okay."
You know, it'll be like a punch list that I sent to. These things 3 months later, they disappear, then 3 months later, it's done.
Everything's good.
So,
Yeah, fine. All right, any other questions for Mark?
Yeah, can I ask what this item is about buying land for a garage addition?
we talked about that last month, and I think.
Yeah, we said
Yeah, I got shot down.
There was a guy on the alley, he wanted to buy a chunk of alley so he could
The
make
end
his
of the alley,
garage.
it's dead end alley.
Right.
It was.
Garage. Yeah.
The answer is no, right?
Yeah, he said no.
Why, you wanna do a garage addition? We trying to figure out if we're supporting this or not.
You know, my short-term memory loss, I forgot we thought of that.
Got it. All right, anything else from Mark? Liaisons, Mr. Hume, you got a lot of liaison.
Yeah,
We covered all of the.
I've already.
Yeah,
Done
the only thing I'll put out there is the conversation with Osceola County, so it kind of ties into the liaison piece.
Oh,
We did have the 11 things that I copied everybody right before Christmas. There was some of the email traffic there of what we were working on, and we still haven't made a lot of progress. The one I'm kind of zeroing in on right now, or the couple. Number one, I will hit them up on the traffic light piece because that was on the list and we never did get an answer on there. Number two is repaving going into the next fiscal year. They said they were going to do some out of, it wasn't out of cycle. They were going to do some analysis, blah, 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 to figure out whether or not they could actually would actually support doing some additional road pavings. I'd asked Russ and crew to take, what would you say, the top 25 or top 20 roads. And they said they're going to analyze those and see whether or not they can get in the next fiscal year. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see. The other one is the mosquito agreement. So we did send over the termination for that.
We didn't terminate, we said,
We're trying to rescind it.
yes, we
Yeah.
said, we would like to rescind it and
They're
you
like,
take it.
no.
And, well, they said that's fine, they would take over the mosquito spraying for celebration beginning next fiscal year, but we needed to let them know if we wanted it or not.
Well, they said a lot of other incorrect things in that email as well that they clearly had not read or listened to the commentary from when we were talking to them. So
They're not gonna do it up to the level that you have it.
Yeah, that,
yeah.
They're just not.
that's the response back is we need to know what you're gonna do. What is your, how often do you spray, give us the specs, so.
yeah, and that was, so did you, right, I told you as far as an agenda for discussion, did they respond back to that? Getting a conversation with them?
No, I
or-
wanna discuss with you a little bit more about the approach before we ask for them.
Okay.
Just from a standpoint of. How hard are we going to push this and, you know, how do we, and that we need to get the specs from them before the budget season to really see if this is something we want.
Well,
and
let's-
what they use, cause our, our residents, don't we
Yeah.
have like partial organic or?
We stopped,
Something.
we
We
stopped
do.
that, we thought we tried it.
No, we
No.
do a
Still-
partial.
still-
Yeah.
Partial?
Yeah.
It's like a little bit it's a hybrid of
Yeah,
chemical and green.
okay,
I mean, listen, the rescinding the agreement costs us nothing because they weren't doing anything for us anyway. I'd like to have it hang out there that they're not doing what they should be doing, and if they want to intersperse sprays in between ours, I think that's stupid. But I would like some acknowledgement from the county that we've been paying $250,000 a year for something they should be doing and they haven't been doing it. Sure, we haven't been calling them because we didn't know there was this agreement, but now that we know that we've put in over $3.5 million to the county, stuff that they haven't given us back a dime on. I'd like some acknowledgement for something, whether they offset costs or whatever. I mean, they're
Okay, well, we'll talk about it
Yeah.
offline, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Do we know why that was ever put into place?
well, what?
I think it was just,
Kind of a
I mean,
weird thing.
I think it was because level of service.
Oh,
It's easy.
Normally they'll do it like twice a year, that's
Yeah,
all.
that's
It-
about it, yeah.
The honest answer is it's like anything else with county as a school
Yeah.
district historically. It's just easier for celebration to figure out how we're gonna pay for it on our own as opposed to
yeah,
trying to get them to do their
I
job.
understand that aspect of it,
Yep.
but that's, I don't know.
So that would be continuing. That's all I got for liaisons. Any other business? Brenda, anybody on the line? Public comments, going once, going twice?
Am I public? No, there's nobody else but me.
There you go.
all right.
Very well. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.